Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome into the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Haley Spittler. Going to spend the next hour with you on this Labor Day. I gotta say, we are really in for a treat, at least here in the Milwaukee area. I don't know where you guys are joining us from today, but we have beautiful weather, just the kind of weather that you want when you're celebrating the unofficial end of summer and you want to get outside, which let's go ahead and do that. Let's head right now to the Mitchell International Airport, MKE, here in Milwaukee, where obviously Labor Day is usually not the travel heaviest of holidays, but certainly a lot of people like to go out and about, visit family and friends. I'm curious if we'll be able to see any planes on the runway this afternoon. My Labor Day plans had me not taken to the skies. I took to the roads this weekend. I'm originally from Chicago, still have a lot of family and friends in the suburbs there, so I got to head that way, which, speaking of the roads, if you need to go anywhere today, you're in for a treat. This is frozen. It's not that empty, but I was just looking at it not too long ago. And it's really light traffic out there. Obviously, it is a holiday. Not too many people commuting to and from work, which is always a nice treat on a holiday. So yeah, roads looking nice. There are a few congested areas, but those are just because of traffic there. You can see it on 41 and 43. But besides that, the roads are clear. They are good to go. And hey, we know a lot of you might have your Labor Day plans. Hopefully you're not working today. If you're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk, maybe you're at home getting ready to go out and celebrate this Labor Day. Maybe you're going to go to Laborfest, which we will learn a little bit more about in about half an hour. Our very own Brett Lemoyne is going to be joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, showing us around. So if you're wondering what Laborfest is all about, we'll get you the inside scoop. But if you do go out today and you do have a lot of fun, I do want to just remind you about the AAA Tow to Go service. So this is completely free. There are free rides available to impaired drivers. It is also completely confidential. So nobody has to know that you utilize this service, but basically it's going to get you and your vehicle home safe within a 10-mile radius. It's open to AAA members, but it's also open just to anyone. So you do not need to be a AAA member, and this goes all the way until tomorrow at 6 a.m. So if you go out tonight and you drove thinking you weren't going to have too much fun, and then you realize, hey, I probably shouldn't drive, this is one service you could utilize. Otherwise, you can always, call an Uber, call a Lyft, call a friend, a family member. You could even use public transportation if you needed to. So lots of options there for you. If you've never joined us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, we monitor feeds and we kind of bring you live news as it happens, whether that be here in Milwaukee, across Wisconsin, across the country. Sometimes we even go international. We really just try and find you the news as it happens. And this Labor Day, I'm going to be honest, a lot of people are just out celebrating, so there's not a ton of live action, but there is something I think is pretty cool, and I'm hoping you're going to think it's pretty cool. It's a bird camera. I wish I could tell you where this is. Also, I think it's funny. It looks like the bird's name is Haley Spittler right there. But this is just a fun bird who's getting a little Labor Day treat right there, enjoying the good weather. It looks like maybe it's someone's backyard. I love that there's a camera on this bird feeder, and I've been watching it honestly for 10 minutes, and it's pretty nonstop. There's always at least one or two birds coming here getting their midday munchies on. I mean, it is lunchtime there, 12:33. But I feel like I could honestly watch this for the next hour. We won't do that, but I think that I usually don't do a whole lot of bird watching, and maybe I should get into it because this is so fun and fascinating to watch him eat a little snack right there. We've got our producer Carrie in the booth today. Carrie, are you a big bird watcher?
Not really a big bird watcher, but I know Gino Salamone is a huge bird watcher.
Oh, our little Hollywood insider is also a bird watcher. This is good to know. I'm newer to the team here at Fox 6. These are the kind of inside scoops that I need to strike up some good conversations with my new coworker. Again, I don't know where this, look, we're getting a whole new view of the bird, showing us his feathers there this Labor Day. He, good news, isn't laboring too hard to find some food because he found a nice little just giveaway right there. Well, that was a fun thing to look at. Now we're going to head actually out to D.C., taking a live look right here in the White House, where things have been pretty quiet coming out of the nation's capital this Labor Day. But there are some headlines that I could run you through from over the weekend. And this has to do with our neighbors in Chicago. So President Donald Trump is kind of locked in a heated war of words with the Democratic Illinois governor, that'd be J.B. Pritzker, over a potential federal intervention. Obviously, we have seen a lot of that federal intervention in D.C. as far as President Donald Trump deploying the National Guard, taking on the crime in D.C. I know we saw the headlines about a week ago when then some of those National Guard members were able to be armed. As he said, he has really kind of fought crime and gotten it taken down. Now he's turned his eyes onto other big cities, one of them being Chicago. So then this has gotten kind of revamped over the weekend, where there was a deadly string of shootings in the Windy City. So in a new Truth Social post, President Trump repeated his threat that a federal intervention effort will be coming to Chicago if Illinois' governor, again, that's J.B. Pritzker, does not quickly straighten things out. Chicago's mayor also getting in on the conversation. Brandon Johnson says he's getting ready for the possibility of troop deployments. He actually signed an executive order aimed at stopping the president from deputizing local police. And the debate over National Guard deployment is actually playing out here at home, too. So during a visit to La Crosse last week, Vice President J.D. Vance said the White House, quote, would send guardsmen to help only if asked. This has a lot to do with the crime we see in Milwaukee. That's J.D. Vance, the vice president, also said Mayor Cavalier Johnson should use, quote, common sense to cut down on crime. Johnson, our mayor, has made it clear there are federal resources that can help as far as crime and trying to get that cut down in Milwaukee, but he says the National Guard is not one of them in this instance. So a lot of eyes here in D.C. trying to wait and see what comes next. I know today was also a deadline. We were told we would hear what was coming next in the war in Ukraine. President Trump 2 weeks ago said in 2 weeks we would hear what's next as far as the potential of a Putin and Zelensky meeting. Obviously, President Trump himself a few weeks ago met with Vladimir Putin in Alaska to ask for a ceasefire in the Ukraine and Russia war. It was the first time Putin had been on U.S. soil in a decade. And we also know he met with Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House a few days later, along with some other European leaders. And one thing that Zelensky really made clear was that he wanted the chance to meet with Putin. He didn't want to just go through the mediator and go through President Trump. He also wanted the chance to just meet with him face to face. So no word yet on if that's going to be happening. We know that Trump supposedly put in a call to Putin and said that he would like the two of them to meet with him present, but we have not heard. But again, he said we would know in 2 weeks. Today would be that 2-week deadline, so we will keep our eye on that. We also know that Congress is coming back in session this month. They took all of August off, and they've got to get some budgets passed quickly or face a possible government shutdown. So a lot's going to be happening in D.C. this month that we will certainly keep our eyes on, including, again, the potential of the National Guard going into Chicago. So let's actually take a live look in Chicago right now, this Labor Day. Lake Michigan there. You could see the Sears Tower, the Trump Tower is there. No Hancock in this. Oh, he's kind of peeking out behind another one of those buildings. I will say summers in Chicago are absolutely beautiful. I was going to say, I'm sure there are a lot of people getting their boats out. You can see one right there hitting the water, because today is that unofficial kind of end of summer. And as we know in the Midwest, come wintertime, you will not be getting that boat out. So if you have a boat, I hope you're hitting the water today at some point, just soaking in the end of summer, because it is beautiful today. Right now we're at 73. I believe the high was 76. So if you've been not loving the chillier temperatures that we've had in the Midwest last week, please enjoy the weather today. I mean, there is not a cloud in the sky in Chicago. There is not a cloud in the sky. Well, actually, that's a lie. I'm looking at our Mitchell International Airport. There are some clouds now, but it was cloudless earlier today. Either way, we're not expecting any rain. We are just expecting beautiful weather to get outside and enjoy your Labor Day. Carrie, do you have any Labor Day plans for when you get off work?
Probably just do a little dinner. That's about it.
Did you ride your bike to work today?
I did.
There we go.
It was beautiful, and I threw the GoPro on the helmet and captured a little bit of riding up the lakefront with no traffic. It was really nice.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to have to see that footage at some point. I was going to say, today's the day to get outside. So I'm glad that you were able to enjoy the Labor Day weather. I'm going to try and do that here when I leave work in an hour or two. I'm going to take my pup out, I think, for a very nice Labor Day walk. Really just soak in these last final warm days. Well, hey, I'm going to keep monitoring our live feeds behind us. I think we're going to talk New York, Powerball, maybe we'll get into sports next. You never know what's going to happen on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but we do know we're going to head to a break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk, and a happy Labor Day. It's always nice when your week can start with a holiday. Obviously, I'm here at work, but I hope for your guys' sake that you had today off. And if you are in the Milwaukee area, if that's where you're tuning in from, get outside if you have the chance. It is absolutely gorgeous outside. We are taking a live look at downtown, looking at the city there. We've got the lake right off that shot, and look at the sky. I mean, as I said, there are some clouds now, but it is just crystal clear blue. It is so pretty. We are officially in meteorological fall because it's September 1st, which is also crazy to me that it's already September. So I know that these warmer temperatures are going to be more far and few between this month, but we're going to get up to 76 degrees today. So like I mentioned, if you've been not loving having to grab a hoodie on your way out the door, you don't have to do that today. Just get outside. Enjoy this nice weather. If you have a boat, go on the water. Of course, be safe. Make sure everybody has a life jacket. The same rules as far as, drinking and driving, they apply to the water. So make sure that you are doing everything safely, but enjoy your Labor Day. And if you are looking for some plans and you haven't been able to make any just yet, we could go to the Brewers game, because guess what, guys? They are playing at home today. We're going to take a live look here at AmFam. You can see the roof is open. Of course it is. I don't know why you would close it on such a gorgeous, gorgeous day. But yeah, the Milwaukee Brewers are going to be taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Again, they are at home, and it's an afternoon game. It's at 3:10. And if you go today, really this week. There are some cool promotions going on. Today is Dollar Dog Day, which I love, because when you go to I was gonna say a football game, a baseball game, you have to have a hot dog. Like, that is the classic meal to enjoy during America's pastime. And ballpark food can get expensive. I don't know what the normal cost of a hot dog is, but I can promise you it's not $1. Okay, well, actually, Carrie, I need your help again. What do you put on your hot dog?
I'm kind of a basic guy, so I'll do ketchup, maybe mustard, but that's about it.
Ketchup and mustard. I like it. It's classic. I'm a bad Chicagoan because I also put ketchup on my hot dog. Usually that's pretty much all I really want on my hot dog, but obviously in Chicago, that's like illegal. A Chicago dog does not have ketchup on it. It has tomatoes. So I just pretend that I'm not from the land of Lincoln for the 5 minutes that it takes me to eat a hot dog. Well, speaking of dogs, come Wednesday, if you go to AmFam, it's Bark at the Park. So bring your pup with you. I'm always so jealous of people whose dogs like dogs, who can partake in these types of activities. I love my dog, but he does not like other dogs. So we could never do this. But I would just go to enjoy the other dogs. Like, if you're somebody who maybe rents, or you have a job that doesn't make it easy for you to have a dog, but you love animals, what a fun way for you to go catch a game and get all the snuggles and cuddles in with dogs that you could imagine. That sounds great. And then Thursday, we've got another afternoon game, a 3:10 first pitch again on Thursday. And this is exciting because kids and seniors can get a discount that day. So you can go enjoy baseball for a little bit less than it would maybe normally cost you, which I love for you guys. Yeah, taking another live look here at AmFam again. They're taking on the Phillies, which can be, Phillies fans are a lot. I know that you guys probably don't love that I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, but I feel like Philly fans can be brutal sometimes. So if you're going, luckily, the game is in Milwaukee and it's not in Philadelphia, because, yeah, you don't want to be the opposing team at a Phillies game. That's always a rough watch. But hopefully your Brewers can pull off a win. Obviously, the best team in baseball right now. They've got a record of 85-53. What a winning record there. Obviously, they're still the first in the National League. Let's see, the Chicago Cubs, 6.5 games behind. That is not what I want to see as a Cubs fan. I think that the chase might just be done. I think you guys might have claimed this one, because you have done absolutely amazing ever since that All-Star break. Speaking of All-Stars and speaking of sports, it was a very exciting, Thursday night for Packers fans as they got their new edge rusher, Micah Parsons. In case you guys forgot from the reminder, Micah Parsons is on the Green Bay Packers. This was a very exciting announcement that came out Thursday night. I know Friday morning, Packers fans were still just relishing in kind of the shocker of a trade that got them number 11 from Dallas here to Green Bay, but number 11 no more. We were talking about this on Wake Up this morning. We officially know what number Micah Parsons is going to take, and it's really easy to remember. Number 1. I was saying it reminds me of The Game Plan, which is that movie that had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in it. He plays a quarterback, but he wears number 1. He says, I'm number 1 in the field, number 1 in your heart. And that can be Micah Parsons now for all the Green Bay Packers fans. Carrie, are you a Packers fan?
Definitely.
Okay, so what was your reaction to this trade?
I was not surprised. It had a lot of the same types of vibes as the Reggie White trade back in the day. Definitely some excitement going on there. And then, obviously within the next year or two, Packers won the Super Bowl. So.
Okay, so maybe Carrie's calling it for you guys right now. That is Super Bowl.
No, not doing that.
Oh.
Interesting little tidbit. I will say, though, and I don't know that the Fox doesn't have the game this year, the Super Bowl, but the two modern day Super Bowl wins by the Packers were both carried on Fox.
Oh, well, when is the next time that Fox has a Super Bowl? Do we know?
Well, we just had it last year.
Okay, so maybe in a few years.
It could be.
We're just going to knock on wood. We're not going to make any predictions, but
it just was an interesting little tidbit.
That's a very interesting tidbit. Honestly, we could go back to, I like the interesting tidbit if we're going to go back to the Brewers, because when I first got here, Carrie, they won their 12th game in a row, which got the free burgers for the Milwaukee area from George Webb. You were actually at, what was the one you were at years and years and years ago when they clinched 12?
It was Easter Sunday, 1987. I was at that game.
Look at you. You're a historian for us here of all the sports knowledge, taking on the Badger State and Wisconsin. Obviously, that trade deal, you guys, for Micah Parsons did cost the Green Bay Packers a pretty penny. So if they are looking to maybe make ends meet after that, they should go grab a Powerball jackpot ticket, because look at this. It is now worth $1.1 billion. Nobody won over the weekend. So that jackpot, it just keeps going up and up and up. So it only costs $2 to play. Drawings are held Monday, Wednesday, Saturday at 9:59 p.m., which, spoiler alert, it's Monday. So you have the chance to be a billionaire today. You got to go grab your tickets, because Lisa and I were saying during a wake up, you can't win if you don't get your ticket. But you should know that your odds of winning the grand prize, they're pretty slim. One in 292,201,338.
You got it.
Yeah, that's those are some slim odds. I think we read the statistics that you're more likely to get struck by lightning or to become a movie star, or even to have a vending machine fall on you, is what we said this morning, than you are to win the Powerball. But I hope that, for y'all's sake, you win the Powerball. Carrie, what would you do? I think after taxes, it's still like $500 million. So what would you do with $500 million?
$500 million, probably spread that around with family a little bit. I would try to do that first, and then maybe travel the world.
Wow. First of all, very generous of you to spread it around, share it with your family members. I mean, I think that I would probably eventually do that, but spreading it around and sharing it doesn't come first to mind. I would certainly be responsible. I would go and, pay off my student loans and pay off my car, maybe buy a house. But then I'm also going to travel. I want to go to like Europe. I want to go on a yacht. I want to just enjoy. I mean, I've been to Asia. Where else can we go? Australia. Like, there's so much of the world to travel to. So that's probably where I would also put some of my money. One place you could travel to, you guys. How about New York City? Taking a live look in the Big Apple right now. It is also looking beautiful there. Beautiful on the East Coast. Another blue sky. Some nice clouds, the sunshine is out. I'm sure everybody is trying to get outside in New York before the winter months come. I will actually be going to New York myself next month. I can officially say that because we are in September and I'm going in October. Here we can take another live look in New York City. You get some Radio City Hall there in the background. Of course, that's where the Rockettes perform come wintertime, but we're not focused on the winter. We're going to continue to just bask in the unofficial end of summer. But yeah, I will be heading to New York in October actually to see Hamilton on Broadway. I've seen Hamilton a few times, but I was very excited. They announced earlier in the year that Leslie Odom Jr., who was the original Aaron Burr, was returning to Hamilton to reprise his role for the 10th year anniversary for a very limited run. It's only a few weeks, so I had to do it because Aaron Burr is like my favorite character in that show, and to get to see Leslie Odom Jr. is going to be so good. So I hope that when I go to New York next month, we get these temperatures. I don't know if we will, but I mean, I'll just even take the clear skies because I don't know anyone who goes to New York and wants to be inside. You want to be exploring the Big Apple. So much to do there. There's also so much to do here in Milwaukee on Labor Day. So again, make sure and stick with us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We are pretty soon, we're still a couple minutes away, going to check in with our very own Brett Lemoyne. It is Laborfest today, so we're going to figure out exactly, what this is, who's there right now, how long it goes, why you should go out, and really the kind of fun that you're going to have at Laborfest. So that's coming up closer to 1, but for now, we are going to take just a very quick break, and then we'll be back here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk this Labor Day. I'm Haley Spittler. I'll be spending about the next half an hour with you until really the legend Ben Handelman is going to take over the second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk. So you are in good hands here until about 2:30. And as I mentioned, it is Labor Day. Oh, look, we are going to find we caught a plane on the runway. We're taking, of course, a live look at Mitchell International Airport where a Southwest plane, I think, just landed. I can never really get it right if they're landing or if they're about to take off. But we know, I'm sure some of you guys maybe have plans to go to the airport today, whether you are picking up a friend, dropping off a friend. A lot of travel tends to happen that Labor Day weekend. We've now caught another plane. It's so funny to me. I don't like flying. Like, I have developed, I think, some anxiety over it the last few years, but I love plane watching. So I could sit and just watch like planes take off and land for hours. There looks like an American Airlines plane that just got to Milwaukee as well. Of course, you don't always fly for the holidays. Sometimes instead you're taken to the roads, which if you have to do that, it is so great today. I mean, really, there is no traffic except for the normal congestion due to some construction, which we can actually pull that up for you as well. You can see there 41, 43. There's a little bit of orange and red. That is normal. That is because of, again, some construction happening on that highway. But otherwise, really, it's a great day to hit the roads if you need to travel home or if maybe you're coming back to the area. Maybe you went somewhere for Labor Day, because Labor Day is just a nice holiday to spend time with friends and family and to get outdoors. And we are just lucky that we are getting greeted with truly some of the nicest weather and forecasts here in Wisconsin this Labor Day. So, and hey, speaking of Labor Day, if you are sitting at home right now thinking, gosh, I wish I had some fun plans that we could get to, I've got good news for you. Our very own Brett Lemoyne is joining us right now live on the Wisconsin Live Desk. He's at Laborfest. Brett, tell me all about it. It looks like a blast behind you.
Yeah, of course, this is at the Summerfest grounds, Henry Meyer Festival grounds here in Milwaukee at the lakefront. An annual tradition here in the city every year. Folks from all over the area come out and not only support the labor movement, but also just kind of enjoy the beautiful day and take a load off this holiday. This is sponsored by the Milwaukee Area Labor Council. This is the group's 65th anniversary this year. They've also been doing the parade that just wrapped up about an hour ago through the streets of Milwaukee from the Zeidler building down to the lakefront. They've been doing that since 1983. I spoke with the president just a little while ago, and she said, you know, membership has dipped considerably, right, since the passage of Act 10 more than a decade ago now, more than 15 years ago now. But she said there are some signs of things kind of improving for the labor market here in Milwaukee. She says membership is kind of plateaued and is actually kind of on its way up, on an upswing. Coupled with that, Haley, she says that this is also a really good time just in general in terms of public opinion for the labor movement. She says now more than ever, really, Americans are supporting local labor unions. So it's an interesting kind of mix of folks that are down here, some representing their respective unions, others just out here for some music and for some good food. But all in all, a good time to be had down at the lakefront today.
Yeah, absolutely. How is the weather treating you? You know, I've been talking about it all morning, how beautiful it looks outside, but I've been kind of stuck inside. So how is it out and about?
You know, Haley, I think for the last maybe 5 or 6 years, I've actually been out covering Laborfest for Fox 6 at this very festival. And I think this is maybe the nicest day that we've ever had. I mean, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful day. Hardly a cloud in the sky. You can see people are out in t-shirts and shorts and just having a good time. There's also a splash pad, as always, here at the grounds that's open, that is being well used by some of the kids that are out and about today, too.
Absolutely. Well, clearly then you are an expert when it comes to Laborfest. You've covered it, you just said, what, 5-6 years? So what is your favorite part of the fest?
Well, I mean, I think the music is certainly a big draw, and the food is obviously a big draw as well. But I think if you talk to the people that are here, they will tell you it's really the networking and there's the kind of the brotherhood and the sisterhood of unions in general. I spoke with a young man who just started working for the U.S. Postal Service not too long ago. He said it was his first union job, and he said it was really kind of night and day compared to previous employers that he's had, because he said this is something that he's able to go to his union leaders and talk to them if there's any issues. He says it's really important for them to be able to band together and demand better pay and better work hours. And he said that was never possible when he was not working for a union. So it's just really kind of interesting to hear those stories throughout Laborfest, young and old. As we just had panned a little while ago, we have some veterans, the Union Veteran Council also here representing some of the more senior members of unions and individuals who have since retired. It's something that has kind of been a through line for a lot of these folks that are out here for their entire lives.
Yeah, I love you talking there about the brotherhood and the sisterhood of these unions. I also love that you mentioned food, which, Brett, I'm getting kind of hungry. It's lunchtime. What is on the menu out there?
Well, most of the restaurants that are here for Summerfest and for the ethnic festivals are still in play here, even as we head to Labor Day. But yeah, you got Ward's Burger Express, Saz's out here too, drawing big lines. But even Cousin Subs, look at that. The lines for some of these places are pretty impressive, but you will be able to get a good meal if you come out for sure. It shouldn't be an issue at all, Haley.
Yeah, I know. We were just getting to look at that ice cream, which looks delicious. Perfect day for some ice cream. Brett, do you have a favorite flavor of ice cream while I have you?
Gosh, a favorite flavor. I love, anything coffee flavored ice cream. You can't go wrong. Strawberry, also one of my favorites. And that sounds like it would hit the spot on a nice day like today.
Yeah, absolutely. I can always go for some good cookies and cream. And obviously, yeah, ice cream there at Laborfest. All right, what do we got to know, Brett? How long does this go? When can we get down there? Give me all the details.
Yep, it's going on all day today. It's free admission. Come on down. Just lots to see and lots to do, Haley. There's so much that's going on. And it's kind of one of the last rounds of summer at the grounds here that you can have. So enjoy it while we can.
And Brett, I know there's bingo, wrestling, a classic car show. I gotta ask, are you getting in the ring?
Yeah.
Are you a part of the wrestling there?
This will come as no surprise to you that I will not be wrestling today.
Okay.
That's for sure. But I brought my dabber, so maybe I'll participate in the bingo.
All right. Oh, perfect. Yeah, win some money. Or there's also a grand prize of $5,000 I saw on a raffle. Gosh, there's so much to do there, Brett.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely want to participate in that.
That's right. All right. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll let you get back to work. I know you're working hard on your story there.
Thanks, Haley.
Absolutely. Well, that, if you're just joining us, was our very own Brett Lemoyne. He's at Laborfest there right by the lake in Milwaukee, being treated again to that beautiful weather. You might have heard Brett say there's not a cloud in the sky. He's right. Take a look at this live look in downtown. There isn't a cloud in the sky from this camera, just that blue sky and blue water. You can see Lake Michigan off in the distance. Gosh, this has to be maybe one of the most beautiful days that I have seen in Milwaukee since I moved here at the beginning of last month, and I am itching to get outdoors. I will be doing that as soon as I leave work because it is absolutely just stunning outside right now in Milwaukee. I do want to pull up. I'm going to get this ready. I don't know if everyone else is finding this as fascinating as I am, but I'm going to go back to our bird watching camera because there's a lot of birds there now. What is this? 1, 2, I think 3, 4, 5, 6. There's another one that's trying to find a spot to munch here at 106. Hey, you guys could also go to Laborfest if you need food. Brett was just showing us the long lines, ice cream, burgers, sandwiches, pizza, or you can stick here to your bird feed. Gosh, there's so many. Carrie, I wish I knew more about birds to be like, oh, this is that. But I'm not an expert like that. Maybe if I had Gino join us next time on the Wisconsin Live Desk, if we
that might be our best bet, yeah.
Right, we need Gino to come.
I don't even know what kind of bird we're looking at here. This might be a sparrow, I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. But if you're a bird watcher, I hope that you are loving this moment because there are just so many birds. And again, wherever this, they look like they just might have gotten in a little fight over their place. Guys, there's enough food for everybody. It's kind of going crazy right now. If this was my backyard or my house, I really think that I would just be watching this all day. What a great idea to put a camera by your bird feeder. Well, hey, that's why you got to tune in to the Wisconsin Live Desk. You never know what we're going to show you or what we're going to find on the feeds. And today we managed to find those birds at a bird feeder. We also have a lot of New York behind me, a lot of DC. So I am going to go look up. I think we have actually some new information coming in from a House committee. So I'm going to read up on that. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with the Wisconsin Live Desk shortly.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back into the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday, and a very happy Labor Day to all of you. It is now 1:10, and it is absolutely gorgeous outside. I know I've been saying this all day, but take a look at that. We're looking downtown right now from our modern camera, and it is just stunning. I mean, not a cloud in the sky. You see that blue water in the background. We're now at 74 degrees, so it's feeling like summer, even though it is technically the unofficial end of summer today. But yeah, get outside. I feel like this has got to be a day that our weather experts like Lisa, do you just love, love, love soaking in these good temperatures? And I mean, you guys get to be the good guys. No one's mad at the forecast today.
No, you know, they usually come at us when the forecast is not so great, including cold temperatures, which we'll get later on this weekend, showers and storms. But a beautiful day to get outside today. We are looking at having clear skies as we head into tonight, and that's good because we have the potential of seeing the northern lights. We have what's called a geomagnetic storm form a coronal mass ejection that will allow us to potentially see the northern lights for the Great Lakes regions, with the lowest possibility again along the horizon in northern Illinois, also northern portions of Iowa, as well as Indiana. So that's going to be the lower area, but we are going to have a big portion of Wisconsin that has decent chances of seeing that later on tonight. Of course, there's not a guarantee that you will see it. However, if you are going to head out, the best timing to do so will be from midnight until 3 o'clock in the morning. So you might have to stay up a little bit later, but it could be worth it. Sometimes when we have these perfect viewing conditions, we see spectacular arrays of color in the sky. We are looking at having a G3 level storm. Now, the highest it can get is G5. So we're going to be right in the middle, but that is still going to be considered the high end if we do even see the northern lights. Now, the best thing you could do is get away from the metropolitan areas. You want to get away from where there's high light pollution into a darker zone. Let your eyes adjust outside for about 10 minutes. And unfortunately, like those photos you see of the vivid array of colors, you're not necessarily going to see that directly to your eye. Your better chance of seeing the colors will be by taking a photo and using the night mode. So Haley, if you're going to want to stay up late to see this, it'll be a cool thing. We do have, again, that evening planner with temperatures in the 60s. We'll even be dropping, in fact, into the 50s, but at least we'll have clear viewing for it. Now, have you seen this before, Haley, at all?
Okay, so I was going to say, I unfortunately, I work the early hours. I have to be asleep at like 2, 3 a.m. And so I just moved here from South Carolina. There was 1 or 2 times where people got to see the most beautiful northern lights. And I woke up and I was just like, gosh, I missed it.
Hey, I'm telling you, because I've had to do the morning shift, sometimes you just have to go to sleep early. You get up, maybe for an hour or 2, and then you go right back to bed.
Smart.
And then you get up for work.
That's probably the move, because I will tell you, getting to just look at them in your own backyard, heck of a lot cheaper than flying to what, Iceland? Is that where you would normally see them?
Iceland, Canada, Alaska, Greenland, those are all areas where, you're closer to the poles, the North Pole in particular, and you'll have a better chance seeing there. But, we have had a lot of viewings here locally last year, so you might have your chance of seeing that tonight.
Oh, I'm going to cross my fingers. I'm going to listen to what Lisa said. Okay, I'm just going to go to bed early, wake up, and I'll go back to sleep if hopefully we can see them. Hey, you mentioned Alaska right then as a spot. You just went to Alaska. Would you tell us a little bit about your trip?
Yeah, so actually I'm doing daily segments on our Wisconsin weather experts on Fox Local, so you can tune in there. Something that was really cool I talked about today was I got to go in Seattle first before heading up to Alaska to Chilouie Glass Factory. And what this guy does, it's Dale Chilouie, he is from Tacoma, Washington, but locally he went to graduate school at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Now, you might notice his sculpture artwork. I actually can step off the screen here and pull it up for you quickly. You might notice his sculpture artwork in the Milwaukee Art Museum, and this is what it looks like. So, if you do want to go to the art museum here locally, you can view one of his pieces. Each one of these is blown separately by glass. He also has some of his artwork displayed in Madison, but he is a world-renowned artist. So this is just part 1 of my trip of someone from the Pacific Northwest that has ties here locally in Wisconsin. I'm going to have a lot more on Alaska in terms of glaciers, in terms of a tsunami that happened out there that had an impact when I was on my trip, as well as talking about salmon and many more things science-wise to come. So stay tuned with us here locally, and I'll also be posting on my Facebook page of my adventures if you do miss the episode.
I was going to say, I love that you went on vacation and you still did all of this work for us.
Yeah.
Of course, you mentioned Wisconsin weather experts there. That is every day from 12 to 12:30 right here on the Fox Local app. So hopefully you were watching that with Lisa before you tuned into the Wisconsin Live Desk. And before I let you go, Lisa, I got to know, what are your Labor Day plans?
I'm on the same with you. I am laboring on Labor Day. Actually, what was the best thing is I had just had my refreshing salad for lunch, which was that was my happy part of the day. I'll probably go outside and do a little bit of a walk later on. But really today is about not only working, but taking a break. And some of that is just going to be enjoying nature, enjoying the nice weather before we have some fall-like temperatures on the way. And with fall-like temperatures, Haley, I know you and I were talking about pumpkin spice lattes.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to give it one more go around to see if I like it this year. I've only had it once. It's a little sweet, but I know Nicola said you can cut, I guess, the syrup or sugar mix they use in half, so I might try that.
Yeah, you could ask for like half the sweetener, because I hope you fall in love with a good PSL. I know that it's basic to love a pumpkin spice latte, but I am obsessed, and I was very happy last week when they got back to Starbucks.
You're going to have to tell me, though, the best place to get it, because that is also the hard decision, right? There's all these places that are offering them.
There are. I want to say, like, I love supporting the local coffee shops, but there is something about a Starbucks pumpkin spice latte. They did create it. You got to go to the OG at least once a season, right?
Okay, so I might have to try it a couple more times and sprinkle myself out in shops around town.
Okay, I love this. By the end of the season, you are going to be a PSL expert. I can't wait to hear your
I'll
reviews.
be a PSL gal with you, and I'll let you know what I think.
Love that. All right, thanks, Lisa. Thanks for joining us on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and thank you for that beautiful weather today.
Of course, enjoy. Have fun outside.
I will. I can't wait to get outside in just a little bit. Obviously, Lisa and I are, again, we're laboring on Labor Day, but it is so much fun when you love your job and you love what you do that it doesn't even feel like you're missing out on a holiday. I'm loving spending my afternoon with all of you guys here. Again, it's 1:17 on your Labor Day. Oh, we are going to catch we've got 2 planes. I'm going to just keep going back to this Mitchell International Airport camera. We just saw a United flight leaving, and that looks like a Delta flight that just got here. Maybe you've got some loved ones on those planes coming back to you or saying goodbye to you this Labor Day. I hope you had a great time with them. Maybe you partook in some of the fun Labor Day festivals that are happening right now all over the area. I did want to take you back to DC. I know I talked a little bit before the break, but we did have a little bit of some new information come in while we've been on the Wisconsin Live Desk. It says a House committee investigating the Jeffrey Epstein case has withdrawn a subpoena to Robert Mueller. So obviously this has been a big story for a couple of years now, the Epstein sex trafficking case. So here is what we know so far. A House committee investigating the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking case has withdrawn a subpoena to former FBI Director Robert Mueller, citing the state of his health. So Mueller had been directed last month to appear before the House Oversight Committee on Tuesday, tomorrow, for a deposition, but that subpoena was withdrawn after the panel learned of unspecified health issues that precluded him from being able to testify. The New York Times did cite a statement from Mueller's family and people close to him. This came out yesterday, that Mueller had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in the summer of 2021 and has had difficulty speaking. Just a little bit about Mueller. Was appointed FBI director in 2001 by then President George W. Bush, and stayed in that role for more than a decade, resigning in 2013. So again, the House committee investigating the Jeffrey Epstein case has withdrawn that subpoena to Robert Mueller. Taking a live look here at the White House, where I've mentioned before that it's been pretty quiet on the politics front today. Not a ton of new headlines coming out of D.C. Obviously, Congress is expected to get back in session this month, and we'll have to see what kind of updates come out there. There is the potential for a government shutdown that I was reading about, but we'll keep our eye on any budgets that get passed, and we'll bring you those live updates. Looks like in D.C. there might be a bit of a breeze, because you can see that flag there waving and the Washington Monument behind the White House there with the flags waving. But otherwise, just lots of luscious greenery in D.C. right now this Labor Day. Well, that is going to do it for right now on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to take just another quick break. I will keep monitoring the feeds. I know it's been a little bit of a slower day today, but we'll see what we can find, and we'll be right back with more of your Wisconsin Live Desk in just a few minutes.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk and a happy Labor Day to you. Time now is 1:23, which means we've got less than 10 minutes left with you before we hand it over to Ben Handelman. He'll be handling the second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk. If you've never joined us before, maybe you're tuning in because you're at home today for the holiday. The Wisconsin Live Desk is a really fun 2 hours where we don't really know what we're going to bring you. It all depends on the live feeds that you see behind me. As you can see on this side, not a whole lot's going on today because people are enjoying the holiday like I hope you are. But sometimes we bring you news from locally here in Milwaukee, across Wisconsin, across the country, sometimes even internationally. We bring you that news as it happens. And one piece of news that I know a lot of people are just still celebrating even after the weekend. Friendly reminder. Micah Parsons is on the Green Bay Packers. I know a lot of people are thrilled, especially those in Green Bay. So let's take a live look at Lambeau Field right now, where they have the same just beautiful blue skies going on over there in Green Bay. I was going to tell you, we talked a lot about this deal a little bit earlier, but again, yeah, the highest paid player in the NFL, that's going to be the Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. He's now reacting to the new highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL, which is Micah Parsons. Again, Micah Parsons being traded to the Green Bay Packers did remain a shock to some, even now days after Jerry Jones has fulfilled the All-Pros trade request. So as a result, the Packers dished out a massive 4-year, $188 million deal that became an NFL record for the most money paid to a non-QB. Again, Dak Prescott, that's Parsons' former teammate, again, the highest paid player in the league, is now reacting to this. He said, quote, "I definitely didn't think he was going to get traded, but just with the way their negotiations went down, obviously to some extent, it seemed like it got personal on their end, so that's why I wasn't surprised." So he's saying, hey, I didn't expect this to happen, but I'm not necessarily shocked. I know a lot of Packers fans, they heard the rumor mills, but I don't think people really thought this deal was going to go through. I know we're talking to our producer, Carrie, who's thrilled with the news. I am from Chicago. I'm not a huge football fan, but I would say that I'm a Chicago Bears fan. So, I mean, this is never good news to have somebody like this coming and playing on your opposing teams there. We love that skill, though, for the Packers. I'm curious, Carrie, do you play any sort of, like, fantasy football league? Are you in a picks league? Do you do any of that?
I am one of the few people who does not do that at all. I just like to sit down on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening and watch the game.
Yeah. Okay. So I have never done the whole fantasy football league thing. I don't think that I have enough knowledge to do it, but I got roped into one this year because my friends needed one more person for it to be even numbers in their league. And I said, if it's a judgment-free zone, I will try my hand at it. And I will say, we had our draft last week. We had it kind of early. I feel like most people were drafting like yesterday, but the ESPN program we're going through did give me an A. They said I did a good job on my draft, so we'll see.
Nice work.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I had to like quickly read up because I would have thought you wanted like several quarterbacks. And I was like, oh, no. You only want 2 of those. I learned very quickly your running backs and your wide receivers are where the points are at. So I do think it's kind of fun to, be in a fantasy football league because it has me paying attention then to all of the games and getting even more excited come Sundays to see if I can pull out the victory. I will say before this, I've always done the picks league where you just pick the winner of each game.
Sure.
And last year I did get second place, which I was really proud of, but I only got my $10 back. The other person got like $300. So I wish that I had.
Who knows? Maybe you'll be the dark horse in your league.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to hope that somehow the football gods just go, hey, we're going to give it to this one. I was also saying last week, actually, on the Wisconsin Live Desk, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but I was trying to come up with a creative, like, fun name for my fantasy football league, and I went with Karma is the guy on the Chiefs. And then I was able to draft Travis Kelce, and then they got engaged. So I feel like I just put the good vibes that maybe somehow got Taylor the ring, and hopefully Travis can get a Super Bowl ring, and hopefully I can get you won the fantasy football league.
Gotcha. Maybe you need a whole Taylor Swift theme going on with the team.
Maybe we do. I'm just glad I was able to get Travis Kelce, and I know a lot of Green Bay Packer fans are excited that we were able to get Micah Parsons. Well, hey, there's still a lot going on here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We've got another full hour coming for you. We are going to take a quick break, and then our very own Ben Handelman, he is taking over.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
What up, you news nerds? It's Monday, 1:32 in the afternoon, and you ready for a fresh hour on the Wisconsin Live Desk on your Labor Day? Oh, you come to the spot that is unpredictable because we honestly have no idea where the next hour will take us here from our FOX6 studios in Brown Deer, Wisconsin. I'm looking at feeds from all across the country, including a bird cam that I have questions on, and we'll be getting to that as well. But all right, here's just some of the feeds that we're watching at this hour. Views on the White House right now, but all the news that's being made is actually happening in China as world leaders, and not the ones that are friendly with the United States, are meeting. That includes North Korea, Russia, China, India, which there have been trade tensions with, all meeting as there's going to be a big military parade that President Xi is hosting there in China. So a lot of the focus is on the counter-programming to American democracy on the other side of the world. So we're watching that at this hour. Watching the weather out there, a spectacular, honestly, maybe one of the best days of the summer, and for the unofficial end of summer, that looks pretty good. We're watching travel for you as well, as it's a very busy travel day at the airport, on the roads. People are getting in their last taste of summer. So we'll get to all of that in the next hour. The Brewers are in town. Something really exciting is happening at the ballpark, and I'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want to start with my colleague who is here, a friend of the program, I should say. It's Durante Matthews joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Durante, I know everyone's trying to have fun with the end of their summer, but you're covering a story of people having the kind of fun that'll get you thrown in jail. What are you working on? Tell us about your story, a big issue over the last couple of days here.
Yeah, Ben, not only thrown in jail, but get you thrown out of a vehicle, actually. So right now, we're following up on a couple of street takeovers. And, the street takeovers are when, folks just get in the car and just start spinning around, doing donuts is what they call it, recklessly driving, some folks even hanging out of the window, just acting crazy pretty much in vehicles when they should not be doing that. So there were a couple of those over the weekend, Saturday into Sunday. Actually, police say there were about 17 of them, which is really ridiculous when you think about it. And it all happened in a span of just a couple of hours from Saturday night into Sunday morning. And right now we're on 42nd and Mill, and I'm going to step out so you can kind of see directly in the middle of the street. Yeah, you see all of those. Looks like kind of like a NASCAR track a little bit, just all of the tire markings swerving around in circles like that. And mind you, that's still from over this weekend. So this is just one of, like I said, the 17 areas that Milwaukee police say they responded to. They say during that time period, they have arrested 3 people, cited 4, and towed at least 6 vehicles. And just, of course, video of the different street takeovers were circulating over social media over the weekend, and a lot of it is just really incredible when you look at it. Folks hanging out of the windows, popping fireworks. One guy even got hit by a vehicle.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and
that was Durante. That was the one over at I think that was Water in Wisconsin, right? That I'm looking at the video on Fox Local right now because we've got it on our website. But yeah, the guy gets hit by a car.
Yeah, the one that got hit by a car, I believe that was just less than a mile away from the one on Water in Wisconsin. I believe that was at 6th and Clybourne,
okay,
right near the overpass. But yeah, there are so many of them that kind of run together. There was one interesting one also. It was near 17th and Walnut, and they were actually spinning around a ring of fire. I don't know how they got the fire to start, but it was a really crazy video when you look at it. We spoke to neighbors who lived in that area, and they say they've never seen anything like that. So today, following up on that, I spoke with the Mayor Cavalier Johnson, and he just says, he's sick of it. He's sick of all of it. The video is just so dangerous, and he's looking for local ways to actually put a stop to that. Back in June, he championed legislation that would fine spectators, I believe, a minimum of $500 for just sitting there and watching that, hoping to deter it. So he's hoping the Common Council kind of takes that back up once they get back into session, which I believe is sometime this week. In addition to that, he says he wants to talk to the Department of Public Works to see if there are, things, physical objects that they can put in the roadways to sort of stop these street takeovers and, just put an end to that. And one of the interesting things that we've been hearing nationally is the president talking about bringing the National Guard into certain areas like Chicago. So we spoke to the mayor to say, hey, is that even on the table right now? and he said pretty much no. He said this is not a mission that the U.S. military, needs to take over. They respond to things like rebellion against government and insurrection, not street takeover. So he said there's a lot of local solutions that they can find to that.
Well,
so,
I thought
yeah,
this was interesting, Durante, because they had talked earlier about having a task force dedicated to stopping these. And, yeah, they arrested 3 people last night. But looking at the video, I mean, we're talking dozens upon dozens of people who knew about it. It seemed like the only people who didn't know where to meet was the Milwaukee Police Department. There were so many people who showed up on these street corners. But it's obviously a challenge to try and arrest people, because as soon as a police officer shows up, these people scatter and just go to somewhere else in the city to do this, right?
Exactly, yeah. And like I said, they said there were about 17 locations. So when you really think about it, it's really incredible just how organized these were, moving from one spot to the next, just having police really zigzagging throughout the entire city, trying to keep up with this. And you're right, you really can't arrest everybody, because, once police show up, folks just start dispersing. And, unfortunately, in cases like this, police are the last to know. So it's really just, it's mind-blowing when you really think about it. And it's a big issue, not only for the neighbors, but for law enforcement, who are kind of stretched thin as it is to try to respond to all of this.
It's annoying for sure. But also, you got to question, I mean, what happened to the task force that was supposed to kind of have an inside scoop on some of this stuff? It doesn't seem like they've been very successful so far this summer. Did the mayor, I mean, he said he wanted some local solutions or put some barricades up. But, I mean, is there any solutions that the mayor says he wants to happen right away to try and stop these things?
The task force is something that he did say he wants to try to implement as soon as possible. I guess once he gets the right people for that, that will be his response to that. He mentioned local, state, and federal partners, including even the FBI. He said maybe prosecutors and things like that, just to try to hold people accountable. But yeah, he said as far as immediate.
Oh, we got some hot action
Speaking
here.
of police,
Oh, let's follow that cop. Let's see where it's going.
Right.
Who's your photojournalist? Oh, what do we got?
I'm with Jared, and yeah, he's on it.
All right,
No idea where
Jared, what do you see out there? Oh, now his lights are off. See, Durante, this is the joy of wild. I mean, you just don't know it. Here we're talking street takeovers, and maybe that officer just saw Durante standing on the side of the street and thought this would be kind of cool for the back of your live shot right now, to flip the lights on and go speed. Where are you right now? What was the intersection are you at that guy's speeding down the road?
Again, we're at 42nd and Mill, and you're right. Maybe he did just see it and say, "Hey, let's just liven this up a little bit." We're talking about police. Let's throw on those sirens. Labor Day, we're out here laboring, so I might as well make it worth your while, right?
Maybe you heard I'm asking tough questions about why not more people were arrested, and he's watching us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. All right, Durante, I know you got a story to get to, and you got to wrap this up, but overall, I guess we can just conclude it is such a great image that you and Jared have out there of how annoying this is for the rest of us, because even a day later, I mean, look at the tire marks. It just like ruins the road. People are going to get hurt doing this. And if you're ever caught in traffic, I mean, you're just stuck as these, I'll just say it, these like idiots are throwing fireworks off in the middle of the street, preventing people from getting through.
It really is. The cleanup effort is just one of them. There are a lot of firework wrappers that we saw near 6th and Clybourne yesterday. And like you said, just the look of it, the way the streets are all just marked up right now. Annoying for the folks who are at home trying to sleep at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and are just woken up to the sound of engines just revving like crazy. And then even some folks fire outside of their home, worrying about, oh, is my property about to get torn up, because folks want to be out here doing donuts. It's just annoying all around.
Yeah,
sure.
And it's not a Milwaukee issue. It is a nationwide issue, but one with no easy solutions and one problem that's not going away. Hey, Durante, thanks for working on Labor Day, because we appreciate you coming here on the Live Desk.
Thank you. I appreciate being on the Live Desk.
All
Probably
right.
not on Labor Day, though. But
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I get it. At least you're the one who's outside. I'm stuck in a closet here, and you've got the guns showing there, and you look great. So thanks, Durante. Thanks, Jared, your photojournalist here. Appreciate it. We'll see you at 456. 9 and 10, all your reports. We'll know they'll be here tonight. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, see, you just never know what you're going to get on the live desk. Suddenly the lights flash on behind Durante. It's like, yeah, we're going to point the camera at that and see where that guy's going, even though he instantly turned him off, and I don't think it was a big deal. All right, so it is 1:43 on the live desk. I got to take a quick break here. When we get back, I want to talk hot dogs.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is 1:45. I'm looking at my tie. It's not perfect for the live desk. Got to make sure it's perfect for you guys. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this holiday weekend. The weather out there, unbelievable. It's just so nice out there. Should we take a look at it? Live picture from American Family Field, where guess who's back in town? The boys are back in town. Roof is open. 3:10 game against the Philadelphia Phillies. And you might think, ooh, that's a pretty big event because the Phillies could play the Brewers in the postseason. Oh, no. There is a much bigger event happening at the ballpark, and it goes beyond baseball. Dollar Dog Day. Yeah! Last day of Dollar Dog Day of the entire season. You go out to the ballpark today, and you can get yourself a $1 hot dog. There are people who do a challenge where you eat one hot dog every inning and see if you can eat 9 hot dogs. I think it seems very doable. And, you know, baseball games are long. It takes a while. I'm just looking at the face of Lisa Michaels, who's going to join us here right now, and she looks pretty disgusted by this whole thing. But let's bring her in. Someone, I don't even know if she enjoys hot dogs. Lisa Michaels, everybody, joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Lisa, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hot dogs sound good right now, don't you think?
Yeah, have you heard about this challenge?
No, I have not, but I don't know if I could do 9. I mean, maybe 9 in a day if you spread it out, but not
yeah,
one
depending how long the game goes. Yeah, you'd think with Jacob Mizorowski on the mound today, the Phillies, this obviously big playoff team, big money baseball team being in, that would be the focus of the baseball game. Oh no, it's Dollar Dog Day. That's all people care about, which makes me very happy. But some people do not only the hot dog challenge, but also a beer challenge with it, and that just sounds like a good way to lose your dollar dogs, if you know what I mean.
You know what? People are having a good time. So you just let them get their $10 hot dogs, 10 hot dogs for $10.
Yeah.
If you really want to squeeze another one in.
I don't know when they cut it off either. I think it's just dollar dogs all day. I've done Dollar Dog Day, and there is, I don't know if you've ever been out to the ballpark when it's a Dollar Dog Day.
I haven't.
Oh, it is a different kind of vibe.
Now, how many have you eaten, though, when you were there?
When I went, I think I had like 3.
Oh, I was going to guess you were about 5.
No. Like, you eat 3, and then once you let it settle it in, you're like, I
That's
think
kinda
I think I'm good on hot dogs for... I know people who have done the challenge, though, and they've made all 9.
Now, how did they feel afterwards?
Not
though?
good.
That's the question.
Not good. But yeah, what a spectacular day for
It's
the Brewers
gorgeous.
to be back. Of course the roof is open. I spent the whole morning outside. It's just awesome out there, Lisa.
It really is. I was just outside for a couple minutes because then I had to come back in for
Mm-hmm.
this hit, but it really is a spectacular day. And Ben, we've lucked out with gorgeous weather this entire holiday weekend.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It was a little cooler yesterday. Today,
Yeah.
it kind of felt more like summer again.
Yeah, and it is. It's going to continue that way heading into tomorrow, too. But you know what tomorrow is, Ben?
What?
Kids are going back to school.
I was like, what's going on? Oh, I'm in so much trouble, Lisa.
Why?
Can I tell you about this? Because my daughter, for the first time, she was in K4 last year, 4-year-old kindergarten.
Yeah.
This is her first time doing full day 5-year-old kindergarten.
Ooh, she excited?
Well, last year, she's really excited. My excitement level is like down to here because last year she had half days and I just had to get her to school by like noon.
Yeah.
This year, you have to be
Early.
at her elementary school. I got an email that said, your child should be here at 7:45. We open the doors at 7:47. And you know when they've got it timed down to the minute, like they're not messing around. And I'm pretty sure at 7:50, they slam the door shut and they make you do a walk of shame with your
Ben.
late child into the office.
You don't want to be that parent, Ben. You're going to embarrass
I
her.
know. And me and Ashley, we're news people. We work nights. Ashley works 3 days a week. But Mondays and Tuesdays, we both work nights. We're not getting home until like 11 o'clock at night or later. And now I have to do this turnaround. See, most people are
Wow.
like, I'm worried my kid's not going to wake up. No, I'm not going to wake up, Lisa. I'm the one who's in trouble for tomorrow.
Are the in-laws close?
No.
Can you kind of nudge?
Northwest Indiana is my closest family members.
Oh, gosh.
So-
Hey, you know, that time's not too bad for us who wake up early in the morning. But I do understand
wanna
when
hear
you're the
that.
night people, you're going to maybe need a little extra coffee or
Yeah.
caffeine to keep you up through the day.
You'll see. I'm going to have droopy eyes for, I don't know, the rest of...
They're called beautiful bags. Haven't you heard?
Well, tell me,
beautiful bags.
what will it be like tomorrow? I'm actually worried about this because now I have to like lay out the clothes the night before. Like, what's
Yeah.
it going to be like at 7:45 in the morning tomorrow? Tell me.
You know, it's going to be what Mother Nature gives us. It's going to be a little cool. You know, you might want that jacket. We are going to get into that forecast coming up. However, thankfully, we're looking at dry weather. Temperatures could be in the low to mid 50s, though. So that's going to be one of the big changes. If you have to wait at the bus stop or walk your kid to school, you definitely will want to have some layers, at least for the morning. But tomorrow afternoon is going to be much like this. In fact, it could be a couple degrees warmer.
Wow.
So we are looking to have a really great forecast for the first day of school. A lot of kids getting out in the playgrounds. They're probably going to enjoy, too, for recess.
I know you're covering this right now, but it is hard to
Yes.
believe that meteorological fall
I know.
for you guys, it begins today.
I'm so excited, right? So meteorological fall, it begins today. Now, you might be thinking, what do you mean fall begins today? Fall begins officially astronomical fall later on this month, but the entire month of September, October, November is considered fall for meteorologists. Average temperatures resemble fall-like conditions. So it makes it easier when we split up the year based on months so we can calculate climatological statistics this way rather than doing it within random dates of each month. Astronomical fall is what most people go by. That will begin on September 22nd, and that starts the beginning of what we call shorter days. And it's in quotes because fall is not necessarily where we're seeing shorter days. The days are the same length, but it's the amount of daylight that we have. The sun is actually going to move south of the equator as we head towards the end of the month, and that is meaning that we are going to have daytime being less light, and we're going to have more hours of darkness ahead. So we really like the
Ugh.
summer months because, right, we wake up, it's bright in the mornings, and then when we start heading closer to winter, you wake up at 6, 7 o'clock, and it's going to be dark. So, Ben, I think you'll have a even more difficult time
Yeah.
bringing your daughter to school as we head through the upcoming days.
You know what I love about this show?
Yeah.
Did you feel like a ghost there?
Yeah,
Where if
you
I
pop
hit this
me up.
button, you just disappear. But if I hit this button, you just come. Oh, you're
Oh, I was going to mess with you. Jump out of the shot. Dang it. Well, Ben, you know what else we're going to see tonight is the Northern Lights.
Okay, I saw you talking about this, and
Yeah.
I love that this is a possibility, although, and you and I could know this, half the times we say there's a chance, I mean, you emphasis on there's a chance. Like it may not happen because of where we live in this part of the state.
Well,
right?
I don't want to jinx it, but every time I go out and look for them, I see them.
Really?
So maybe it's the science aspect of what I know, but you could just text me and say, hey, is it a good time to go? Now, what we're talking about, yes, is the chance of northern lights. A geomagnetic storm is occurring and will bring us the chance for northern lights tonight into tomorrow morning. Now, just because we have this coronal mass ejection, that doesn't necessarily mean we are going to see the northern lights. It can also do things like disrupting your GPS or radios, but there is the potential that the northern lights are visible. We are going to have a big chunk of northern Wisconsin having the best chances of that.
Yeah,
but this
up in
could
the
be seen
Door
as,
County.
right? If you're in Door County, which I actually have a girlfriend there right now, she might be able to see it, but this could be seen even farther south into northern Illinois. So I'd still say Milwaukee has a really decent chance of seeing it. The hard part is getting to a spot where you can adapt to the darkness and see it better. Metropolitan areas, not where you want to be. There's a lot of light pollution. So if you are near Milwaukee, you want to get away from that. So really going further north if you can, where there is going to be less light. You want to look to the north, and when you're out there, let your eyes adjust to the darkness for about 10 minutes. So if you're outside for 10 minutes, you don't want to be texting on your phone. That light from the screen, again, disrupts your
I
eyes
didn't think
and it has
about
to adjust
that.
again.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes, just sit in your dark car. I know it's kind of weird. People usually are always on their phones, but let your eyes adjust. And then when you look north, you might see some milky white color. That's what it's really going to look like to your eye.
Yeah, it kind of looks like
Occasionally-
clouds a little
Yes,
bit, doesn't it?
Exactly. It does look like clouds. Occasionally you can see some hints of color, but typically where we are, we normally only see the white milky color. If you want to see the actual array of colors in the sky, that's where you want to turn on the night mode on your camera and use your camera. It has a better
On your
ability.
phone, right? Yeah.
Yes, on your
Carrie,
phone.
our producer here, and I were having the exact same thought at the exact same second. He just got in my ear and was like, because Tom talks about this a lot. Like, bring your phone out with you, but good point. Don't stare at your phone and text all your friends. Be like,
Correct.
don't call your girlfriends and be like, how's Door County? What kind of cherry wine did you get? No, because you need your eyes to
You do.
adjust.
Another good point with your phone, there's the screen brightness, right? So turn it all the way down to the dimmest setting. That's what I do when I go out. Now, if you do want to be out and see it, the best time's between midnight and 3 a.m. So, Ben, you want to talk about getting up early?
No. I am going to probably miss this one. I
Yeah.
will say I had a really funny experience last year when we had like the, because I said, you said this was a level 3 out of 5, right?
Level 3 out of 5, and we've actually had quite a few times within the past year where we have seen the northern lights across Wisconsin.
Yeah, so there was one of those times last year where I'm sitting doing everything you just talked about. Me and Ashley were sitting in the backyard. I'm looking up, and my eyes had adjusted, right? So I'm sitting in my dark backyard. My neighbor comes home.
They're looking at you like, what the heck are you doing?
I didn't realize how dark it was because I'd been outside for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Lauren. I start shouting at her. She runs into her house, didn't know what was happening. She thought the creepiest strangers were outside. She didn't realize it was me and Ashley. Because it's not like we hang out in the backyard a lot and like hoot and holler at our neighbors.
But what would you do if someone was blaring your name out in the middle of the night? You'd run inside too.
Well, I think if someone said, I don't think she heard her name, because if she heard, then it would have been less creepy, because then you would think, okay, they know who I am.
True.
I think she just heard like, ah!
Yeah, she probably thought you
Ah!
were like a bear or who knows what.
So as me and Ashley are just sitting there with our phone up in the middle of the night. So
Well,
that's pretty cool.
You know, Ben, you do have a chance tonight as well. And again, this isn't going to be the only chance in your life, but we are looking at having really great viewing conditions, having mostly clear skies to clear skies, and temperatures in the low 60s. At times we could be dropping into the upper 50s, but conditions could be prime for this. We just have to see if, again, we could see a strong enough G3 storm or higher to give us the chance of seeing the northern lights.
12 to 3. Yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm going to be in bed. You know, I'm going to have the nerves of not being able to wake up.
Yeah.
I'll probably be wide awake. So maybe I will go outside.
Yeah, maybe you will. You're going to subconsciously be thinking about it when you sleep, and then you're not going to be able to sleep.
Yeah, we only have like 2 more minutes, but I just want to ask you quickly for those of us who are going to be out finally, because I'm a walker now to school.
Yeah.
I get like a 15-minute walk. Here comes the cold after tomorrow, right?
Yeah, you know, we're going to be tracking 2 things, and I'm going to show you it on our exclusive Fox weather model quickly. Tomorrow, it looks to be perfect in terms of weather across the state. It's going to be tomorrow night that we'll be watching a complex of showers and thunderstorms moving through the area with a cold front. So that front initially is going to bring us some showers and thunderstorms Wednesday morning and continuing through Wednesday afternoon.
Right at 7:30, I saw that.
I know. So unfortunately, Wednesday, you're going to have to be using the umbrella and the rain gear to walk your kids to school, or make sure they have that throughout the bus stop. Then behind that, we're going to bring in some very chilly air. So while temperatures today will be closer to the mid and upper 70s as well as tomorrow, we're talking about highs around 60 to maybe 64 degrees by the end of the week. So it is going to be unseasonably cold for this time of year. We'll be dropping temperatures on Wednesday as that front moves through, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're going to be about 15 to 20 degrees below average.
Woo!
So getting out those coats, it's probably going to be needed as we're heading into the first week of the month.
I was just worried about, like, do you have enough, like, shirts, Amelia? I don't even know where her winter, like, heavier coats are.
You know what? If you live in Wisconsin, I feel like you always have to have it out in your closet.
Yeah,
like
somewhere.
a little bit of winter, a little bit of summer, a little bit of fall, because we switch around so much here.
There's some truth to that. Like, it's somewhere in the closet. It's just, like, we don't pack it up in
where
the
in the
attic or
closet.
anything. Yeah. All right. Lisa, thank you for coming on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thanks,
Double duty
Ben.
today. Appreciate it.
I'll see you a little bit later in the building.
This was fun. And I'm going to talk Powerball later in the show. Lisa and I are teammates here.
We're winners.
We've
got
already
money.
won.
Let me
We've
tell
already
you that.
won.
How
Actually,
much, though?
Yeah. We'll talk about it later in the show. Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate it.
See ya.
She's the best, isn't she? Lisa coming on the show talking Northern Lights tonight. Let me know if you're going to go outside and look at them, because it won't be me. Okay, we're going to talk Powerball coming up next here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's 2:02 as we're getting closer to the end of our Labor Day now as we're moving into the afternoon. Looking at all the live feeds that are coming up, the first one I've got is the Brewers are back in town. This is American Family Field. What in the world is flying at this camera? Did you guys see that? Is that a butterfly?
I missed it, Ben. I'm sorry.
Looks like a bug of some kind, but now as soon as I give it attention, now it's stopped. Anyway, the roof is open. The Philadelphia Phillies are in town. Kyle Schwarber just hit 4 home runs in a game for the Phillies over the weekend. I don't remember who they were playing. Are they playing the Mets?
Good question. I don't know either.
Either way, remember he used to be on the Cubs and won a World. See, there it was. What is that? I think it's a wasp or something. So anyway, the Phillies are in town. The best part of the Phillies being in town, though, well, the Brewers being in town, Dollar Dog Day. And actually, this is a fun week for the Brewers as they're in this insane stretch of games. 19 games in 18 days. So today I think is the best day because it's Dollar Dog Day. Literally, the hot dogs, they cost $1. They're amazing. And then speaking of dogs, on Wednesday, you can bring your dog to the ballpark. Bark at the park. I think there's certain sections you got to sit in. Carrie Doctor, our producer's here. Carrie, you ever done this?
I've never done this.
You're not a dog person, are you?
I'm not a dog person. Don't have a dog, but yeah, I think this is a theme type thing, so you would have had to buy a package.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that. I once went to a Bring Your Dog to the Admirals game downtown, and I sat without a dog, and unknowingly I just bought tickets, and I was in the dog section.
Oh, my.
And there I was. It was really, really cute and adorable, and I pet a lot of dogs. But I always get nervous, like what happens if your dog has to do the business and you're in the middle of a giant stadium? It's not like you can just quickly get outside. But, you know, dogs, they know what's up.
I wonder if they set up little, potty pads in the concourse or something.
I
like
would
that.
hope so. But, sometimes the Brewers fans don't always behave themselves either. So that's going on Wednesday. Thursday, it is Kids and Seniors Discount Day, 50% off tickets for that 310. Now, the funny thing is, okay, kids get 50% off, but a lot of them are back in school. So this is mainly for the seniors, I think, because good luck. I mean, how funny would it be to show up and get your kid out of school a little bit early in the first week of school? I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be prepared for the dirty looks you're going to get from the staff at the principal's office, who is going to be like, you're taking your kid to do what? But 50% off tickets, you can't beat that. So that's going on at the ballpark right now. Here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, what I love about this show is we just have all these feeds coming in, and we don't necessarily know where they're coming from sometimes or what's going on here. And this feed has been up all day long, and it is bringing me a lot of joy. It's a bird camera. So I have a bird seed at my house, but I've elected to stop putting bird feed in throughout the summer because it was attracting all sorts of critters. And I promise I will feed the birds in the winter when they've got it tough. I figure now if the birds want to eat, they can come eat all the mosquitoes that are in my backyard because the mosquitoes right now are about the size of a bird. They're so bad out there. But I don't even know if this is in Wisconsin right now where this camera is coming from, but it's been active. Earlier when I first walked in, I said, is that a bird camera? There was a giant pigeon sitting on this feeder. Those look like, I'm not an expert. Is that a finch?
Finch, or it's not a sparrow, right? No.
I don't think it's a sparrow. Yeah, I'm no bird expert. These are the ones that always show up at my feeder, the little brown ones, and they literally eat most of the food. And then when you're like, oh, cool, there's a really pretty cardinal, there's like nothing left for him because these guys are maniacs. Anyway, hey, he's looking right at us, that bird there. Fun to look at the camera right there. All right, let's talk something that's near and dear to my heart, dreaming about winning the Powerball, because we have a record, well, it's not the highest it's ever been, but it's a top jackpot, and it is rising. $1.1 billion jackpot after nobody won the jackpot on Saturday night. Now, there were some people who did win a couple $1 million. There were $2 million winners in Colorado, Indiana, and New Hampshire. And there were $1 million winners. That's someone who matched all 5 numbers but didn't get the Powerball. You get $2 million if you match 5 numbers and the power play. That's like an extra $1. But if you didn't get the Powerball, but you matched all 5 numbers, that's a $2 million if you get the Power Play. So 3 people did that. And if you match all 5 numbers, you get $1 million. There were 4 tickets sold in California, 1 in Connecticut, 1 in Florida, 1 in Illinois, 1 in Massachusetts, 1 in Pennsylvania. You know what that means? No one from Wisconsin got rich, which means we are due for the big money. And here at Fox 6, we do a pool. I run this pool where I only play if it's $1 billion or more. And so when it went to $1 billion on Friday, I said, all right, and I let everyone in the newsroom, we buy half tickets, because why throw $2 away when you can only throw $1 if that's allowed? So we did $1. There were 15 of us, and because there was an odd number, I was like, well, I should spend an extra $1 on one and do the power play, so then it'll be $15. And guess what? Our power play hit, and we won $12, which I have just reinvested back into the Powerball, because what am I going to give everyone, like 80 cents back? No. We got to go for the big money. $1.1 billion. And they're going to hold the drawing tonight. And then if nobody wins tonight, we'll see what it gets to on Wednesday. But they kind of do it every other day with days off there. So Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, right before 10 p.m. Just a reminder, the odds of winning, 1 in 292,201,338. So you're telling me there's a chance. Yeah, you just never know. Somebody always wins. Do you remember the guy in West Dallas who won? He was like, he literally winked at the camera. He looked up when he bought the ticket, winked. It's like he knew he was going to win. And sure enough, he won. I forget what he won, like 300 million? Didn't win 1.1 billion, I'll tell you that much.
Ben, I got a question for you.
Oh, Kerry, what's the question?
So the estimated jackpot is 1.1 billion.
Correct.
That's if you take it over 30 years. The cash value, if you take the lump sum, is 498.4 million. And that's before taxes still. So which way would you go?
Great question. I know this from doing enough lottery stories. You always take the cash option. Why do you take the cash option? Because if you take the cash and they give you that lump sum instead of 1.1 billion over like several years, by the time you reinvest your money, and let's say you're like, I'm going to use 50 million of it right now and I'll invest the rest. Like I'm going to go on a spending spree and spend 50 million. You would still have so much money. The amount of money you will be making off your money, you don't even have to put it in risky investments. You could put it in like really conservative stuff. You will make millions and millions of dollars every year just by having a lot of money. So please, if you win, take the cash option and find yourself a really good investment guy and find a good tax guy and find yourself a lawyer. Now here's the question, Kerry. If you win, would you want to be anonymous, or would you, who would you let know that you were a billionaire?
I would want to be anonymous. I would probably let my my immediate family know, and just go from there. But yeah, you have
How tight-lipped are they, though?
You know what? I could turn the screws a little bit, I think, especially if there was some motivation.
Yeah, with that kind of money you have.
You can motivate people to be quiet really quickly, so.
Yeah.
The tricky part is even, the 498, that's before taxes. So what do you think is left after taxes?
Oh, man. And does it depend on the state you live in, too? Yeah. Because if you're in Texas or Florida, like you're not paying income tax, right?
I believe, yeah, correct.
So but I feel like, okay, I have really unpopular thoughts about this. I think if you are lucky enough to win the jackpot, your name should be released. And here in Wisconsin, there's actually a law that says that your name has to be released. And the reason they do that, they want to have some resemblance of that transparency, that it's not just, oh yeah, someone totally won, and it ends up that no one actually won. What did I hit there? Oh, I hit the wrong number. So they wanted to be transparent. Now, this has been talked about a lot, though, that there are many people who want that to change and be like other states, that if you win, you do not have to release your name. And this is a very unpopular opinion because most people think you should be able to stay anonymous. I think if you're lucky enough to win all that money, you should be unlucky enough that everyone knows who you are. Like, that's your problem to deal with, not mine. You go figure this out. You've got ways to disappear now. But all sorts of bad things happen to lottery winners.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
For sure. And all of a sudden you have friends and family that you never knew of. So.
Yeah, and now you have to disown them because you're not going to give them any money, and it sounds messy. So, but I'd be happy with that problem, I think, since, and Carrie, you're in on the pool, so you'll have the same problem that we'll have to deal. That's why I like doing the pool, because it's not just you who's got to deal with these issues of being so rich. You get all your coworkers that you have something in common now that you have to meet up and talk about what you're going to do with all that money.
Well,
so.
And then when you got 15 people, you're slicing a big pizza pie into small slices. So.
Yeah. I mean, can you really retire off $100 million? Come on. You might still have to work. All right. Well, we'll see where we're not done here on the live desk. We got 15 more minutes. I got to get another quick break in here. But what would you do with your money? Let us know. Think about it. Tweet at us or Facebook us. And go buy some tickets. Let's get a winner from Wisconsin tonight.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
2:16. Ben Hillman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. As people are traveling out there, AAA tow-to-go service actually available. This is today, right, Carrie? Okay, this is kind of cool. Free rides to impaired drivers. So, you know, it's Monday. A lot of people have the day off. Maybe you're hitting that barbecue. And maybe you didn't come up with a good plan to get home. Or maybe you know relatives who are out who could use this service. Let them know. This is awesome. AAA. They will show up with a tow truck driver. They will tow your car for free and take you home all the way up until 6 a.m. on Tuesday. So, you know, tow to go. Do you know what tows normally cost? It's like the most ridiculous service cost ever.
It can be a couple $100.
Yeah, it's like $300 just to have your car towed. So free sounds good. It's cheaper than an Uber. Free is cheaper than an Uber and a Lyft, but do not drink and drive. There are so many law enforcement on the roads, and I'm pretty sure they've got their task force, meaning there's some extra money paying for overtime that's allowing these guys to be out there on the road. So they're looking for you if you're drinking and driving, so make sure you have a plan to get home. Just want to show you some of the feeds I've got here from the Wisconsin Live Desk. New York City. Beautiful. Well, this is like our one shot that's a little smoggy. But you can see Lady Liberty there, Statue of Liberty. as New York City is dealing with the last kind of nasty summer. You ever been in New York? Kerry, have you ever been in New York City in the summer?
I have.
Oh, man, that's an experience.
And the smell is beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the city, and here's another shot from our headquarters from Fox. They're the one city, and I don't understand why they do this. They still just leave their trash out on the street. It's kind of like old school. I think of like London in the turn of the century, of like the 1600s. That's what they do in New York City, just piles and piles of trash, and it sits on that cement, and it's got a distinct smell to it. And I grew up out east. Like, I was 2 hours from New York City, so we'd go into the city often. But man, New York City in the summer is quite the experience. You can see the streets are pretty packed, looking good there. Radio City Music Hall on the right. Fox is down below. This is coming from the Fox building as we're looking up. That's Central Park. You see the trees right up there? That's a very cool place to go visit, Central Park. It's actually, people don't realize this. The same guy who did Central Park did Lake Park in Milwaukee. Yeah, one of the most famous park designers in the world did both of them. And so if you're ever like, I need a little taste of Central Park in my life, just drive into Milwaukee and go to Lake Park and walk around there. And there's very cool things in Lake Park, all the big lion statues and the cool bridges. It's a really, really fun little walk there in Lake Park. But there's a shot from New York City. We're watching the travel. They're saying this is the busiest record-setting Labor Day travel day on record. They're expecting a surge today. I feel like we say that a lot. Here in the Milwaukee metro area, not a lot of issues on the road, although there's some construction. You see 43 southbound, and I don't know if our traffic cameras will pick up on this one. This one will switch around. Oh, there it is. Brown Deer Road. Okay, so you can see the slowdown. This is where the slowdown is starting. And that's Rawson on the south side, so that's a different shot there. But again, okay, you see the red there? There's construction and there's a bit of a slowdown. 41 southbound dealing with the same thing. And since it's Labor Day, they're not like doing any work out there today. So you're dealing with all the construction issues without any work actually being done today. But the rest of the system is smooth sailing. So, you know, there's a couple of hiccups and it's not earth-shattering delays out there, but do expect, I was a little surprised how big the, that's a beautiful shot. 794 car ferry from the south side Bayview area, looking north towards the city. Unbelievable. Okay, here's the slowdown, though. That is a Hawley Road. So, yeah, there's just a couple of spots out there as a lot of people are driving two different look. Oh, yeah, that could be. Stadium traffic over there. Okay, so again, just be mindful. I still think, you know, we're not one of those cities when we're talking, hey, there's record travel that we have like hours of waiting in traffic jams. It just never happens. When everybody's off here, they tend to go somewhere else, and the traffic never seems to be that bad in the Milwaukee area. But that's why we love living here. So anyway, I'm looking at Fox right now, and they've got some of the best and worst times to leave. Let's see if I could pull this up real quick. Okay, here we go. This is according to AAA. If you are heading home, the best time to do it was Sunday. But on Labor Day, they say start heading back right now. Between 1 and 4 p.m. is the best time to actually travel home because everybody's trying to stay at wherever they are for as long as possible. And so after 4 p.m. is when people are like, all right, you got school tomorrow, kids. We better head home from being up north. So, yeah, who knew? Between 1 and 4 p.m., according to the AAA, on Monday, Labor Day, this is the best time. Good to know here on the live desk. All right, what else we got over here? I want to bring it back to the Brewers here because we're just now less than an hour away from the Brewers. They have last time I checked, Kerry can correct me if I'm wrong here, 6.5 game lead over the Chicago Cubs. And if we can figure out what mystery bug keeps flying in front of our camera here, that would really be impressive. But here, let me just pull open the MLB standings because right now the Brewers have a pretty comfortable lead with not a lot of games left. I mean, we're going to start talking magic numbers pretty soon because it's in the 20s, like the low 20s. That is the combined wins by the Brewers and losses by the next team that can catch them, which in this scenario is the Cubs, before they can win the division. And right now with the Brewers, the best team in baseball, they've got 85 wins, 6.5 game lead over the Cubbies. The Cubs do hold the tiebreaker. So there used to be a time where if you end the season and two teams in the same division have the same record, they would play a one-game playoff just to see who's the division winner and who might be the wild card team or not in the playoffs at all. They got rid of that. Major League Baseball did, because they've allowed more wild card teams in. And so now, if you end up tied on the last day of the season, it's whatever your head-to-head record is during the regular season. And unfortunately for the Brewers, the Cubs have the edge there. 7 wins for the Cubs, 6 wins for the Brewers. So the Brewers have to finish the season 1 game ahead of the Cubs to win the division. If they end up tied, then the Cubs win the division. So just something to think about as the season progresses and we get closer and closer to the end of the road here as we're getting ready for October baseball. Beautiful shot there, though, of American Family Field. As again, Phillies, Brewers, $1 hot dogs, $3.10. It's all happening.
And the Phillies, by the way, Ben, are the first place in the National League.
Oh, yeah, I
East.
didn't even think about that. Ooh, there's the airport. I'm looking at the standings here. The Phillies currently have a similar lead over the New York Mets. Interesting enough, the Mets swept the Phillies last week. I was listening to some talk radio, and Phillies fans are losing their minds over that. Because if you're a Philadelphia Phillies fan, like, being in first isn't good enough. You have to win with, like, you have to destroy your rivals. While here in Milwaukee, like, we're cool as long as we make it, as long as we're a division winner. We could care less how many games we win by. So, yeah, the Phillies have a pretty good lead. They swept, I believe, the Braves over the weekend. I'm not sure if they won yesterday. But anyway, yeah, so big series. It should be exciting baseball. Mizorowski's on the mound. Here's what I'm going to do. I got to take one last quick break here on the live desk, and when I come back, we'll wrap things up. You're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk here on Fox Local.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
What up, news nerds? Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. I was about to say something very depressing is happening right now because just a second ago there were no birds on our bird camera, but then this guy showed up. Again, I'm not a bird guy. I know that's a very common looking bird. I forget what kind of bird that is.
Red-winged blackbird.
Red-winged blackbird. Oh, you know what? These guys can get aggressive, and they live in that long grass you see to the right. I only know this because in Whitefish Bay, there's a park with a bunch of those signs that say, be careful, there are these nesting birds. They go, those cottontails, or the long grass there, they will make a nest in there, and then if you go near that grass, they get very aggressive and swoop at your head. Wow. And will try and peck your eyeballs out. I don't know about that last part, but anyway, wow. We're learning so much about birds here on the live desk because we've got less than 2 minutes before we got to say sayonara and give you off to live now for your Labor Day. It's a really quiet day, which makes me happy because that means a lot of people are enjoying the weather. These are just some of the feeds. You see, it makes me happy there are still taxis, too, that Ubers haven't totally taken over New York City. I wonder if New York City is going to ever get the self-driving cars that they have in places like Austin and San Francisco. I rode in one of those in Phoenix. They're terrifying. And maybe New York City is the worst place to have them because you got to make really quick decisions because everyone drives like a maniac in New York City and they're just honking their horns, which makes no sense to me because everyone honks their horns, so it means nothing. So maybe those self-driving cars in New York City would crash all the time. Or maybe they'd be better drivers because they use lasers and be able to see when stuff's about to hit them. But yeah, whole nother experience driving the cab there. All right, we're still watching. I've been told this is one of the cheaper Labor Days. What I found interesting going out to my local gas station today, gas prices have basically hovered around the same in the Milwaukee area for the last several weeks. $2.99, not bad. Good price on gas. I think it's cheaper than it was a year ago, but we haven't seen any dramatic shifts in gas prices in a while, which maybe that's a good thing here on the live desk. All right, I got to let you go. It's time to go. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful day.
We are going to head back now live to London, England, where the UK House of Commons currently debating the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia, reinforcing its support of Ukraine, and President Zelensky also talking about potentially sending that strong signal to Putin. And we did want to continue listening in live as they debate this issue.
Really impress upon him that if they carry on with these attacks, they will be sanctioned dramatically and the weapons will flow like water to the Ukrainians that they desperately need. I wonder if the government, behind closed doors, could say to the President, it is time to follow your words with actions and not keep on prevaricating.
Secretary of State.
I appreciate the argument that the honourable gentleman makes. It's important to recognise that the role of President Trump is essential and central into any opportunity to bring the two sides together. He is playing a role that only President Trump can play, and he has made clear that on the range of further steps, if they become necessary, at his disposal for his decision, is including stepping up economic pressure on President Putin, and we are ready to respond. Alongside that, we are also ready to take our own decisions on economic pressure on President Putin and on Russia. It has got to be part of what I said to my honourable friend, the Defence Secretary, Select Committee Chair. It is part of trying to ensure that the pressure on Putin, the support for Ukraine, brings the two sides more rapidly to the negotiating table, and we can get that peace that we all secure.
Douglas McAllister.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. My Western Bartonshire constituents know the importance of standing shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine in this fight. Does the Minister agree that investments such as the £250 million to HMNB Clyde and the landmark £10 billion deal with Norway, both of which secures thousands of jobs on the Clyde, many of whom live in my West Dunbartonshire constituency, all help to show our strength and deter future Russian aggression?
State.
My honourable friend is absolutely right, and it's a lesson that we took and have to take seriously from Ukraine, that particularly when a country is faced with conflict or is forced to fight, its armed forces are only as strong as the industry that stands behind them. And part of the significance of the frigate deal with Norway is that this will reinforce our British shipbuilding, our British innovation and our British technology base across the UK and especially in Scotland for many years to come.
Dr. Andrew Murison.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I too congratulate Admiral Sir Tony Radakin and Air Chief Marshal Sir Rich Knighton and wish them well. A big well done too to all involved in the Type 26 deal, including my honourable friend, the member for South Suffolk. And if I may say to the Defence Secretary to cast his mind back to March, when I asked the Prime Minister whether it would be folly to put British troops into Ukraine without a US backstop, without a guarantee from the White House, and the Prime Minister agreed it would indeed be folly. Does that remain the government's position?
What is the government's position is that we are discussing the nature of security guarantees, the contribution that we can help lead through the coalition of the willing, alongside any American support, and together that is part of the configuration of making Ukraine strong and creating the circumstances in which serious negotiations and we hope a peace agreement can be reached.
Dr. Zubair Ahmed.
Speaker, can I warmly thank my right honourable friend for getting this Norwegian deal over the line. I feel a singular piece of pride about this because in my constituency of Glasgow South West and Govan will become the epicentre of the Type 26 construction. Will he undertake to work with me to make sure that my constituents in Glasgow South West feel the full benefits of this investment? And in that vein, will he urge the SNP government to finally collaborate with us to dispense their ideological block on the defence sector so together, for want of a better word, we can be stronger for Scotland?
State.
Well, first of all, Madam Deputy Speaker, can I say to my honourable friend, all of us in the House here appreciate the contribution that his constituents as part of that government workforce make to building the outstanding British ships. The Norwegian Prime Minister had a very telling way of explaining the decision on Sunday when he said, "We weighed two questions in the decision. Who is our most strategic partner and who has delivered the best frigates? The answer to both is the United Kingdom." And it is also telling, Madam Deputy Speaker, that the nationalist-led Scottish Government has yet to welcome this contract and this success.
Chris Cochran.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Firstly, can I commend the Defence Secretary and Admiral Sir Tony Radakin for your commitment to a just peace in Ukraine. But I do agree with the Right Honourable Member for Chingford and Wood Green that the most reluctant member of this coalition of willing does appear to be President Trump. And so does the Defence Secretary agree with me that it is particularly disappointing that he is unable to give an update on the seizing the $300 billion in frozen Russian assets, because the slow progress on that is something that is perhaps our strongest potential lever in exerting pressure on Russia to deliver a just peace?
State.
I don't entirely agree with the honourable gentleman. The commitment that the declaration that the President of the United States has made to making the European-led arrangements for security guarantees, in his words, very secure, is very important and very significant. Those discussions continue. The shape of any potential and possible deployment to support and secure a long-term peace will depend hugely on the nature of the peace agreement itself. And it's for those reasons that it is not possible to set out in public at this stage the details of those. But we continue those discussions both on the nature of the support that can be given to Ukraine in the event of a ceasefire and a peace agreement, and the sort of pressure that may be required to make sure that those serious negotiations can take place.
That was UK Secretary of State Healy discussing President Trump's role in the Ukraine-Russia war. We're going to continue our coverage. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. Let's head back to London as the House of Commons is discussing President Trump's role in the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia.
Secretary of State.
So the purpose of the Coalition of the Willing Force that we are leading the work to plan for is about actively securing the Ukrainian skies, actively making the Ukrainian seas safe, and providing a presence that will help reassure as well as help build up the Ukrainians to deter and defend for themselves. It starts from the first premise that in the circumstances of a peace agreement, for the medium term and long term, the strongest defence, the strongest deterrence is the nature and strength of the Ukrainian armed forces themselves. That is our purpose, and that would be part of our mission.
Joanna Baxter.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I firstly start by thanking my right honourable friend and his whole team for the incredible efforts that they're making on this issue. Over the weekend, Russia launched yet more devastating airstrikes in Kyiv, killing 23 people, including a 2-year-old child. July was the deadliest month of conflict since its early stages, with over 280 civilians killed and more than 1,300 injured. Russia has once again shown its blatant disregard for human life, targeting, abducting, indoctrinating and even weaponising children. Can the Secretary of State set out what further steps he is taking to ensure Ukraine has the means to defend itself from these heinous, heinous crimes?
State.
Madam Deputy Speaker, can I pay tribute to my honourable friend for the campaigning that she is doing, not just on Ukraine generally, but in particular to draw attention to this systematic program that we've seen from Putin and his troops of abducting Ukrainian children, trying to indoctrinate them into the Russian way of life. And can I say to her, in the discussions that I've had with Secretary Umerov when he was Defense Minister and now as Secretary of the Ukrainian National Security and Defense Council, he is leading the negotiations on behalf of President Zelensky, and some of the early discussions potentially with the Russian side are about prisoner of war swaps and about the return of those Ukrainian children.
Stephen Giffins.
Deputy Speaker, can I welcome the Norwegian investment in Glasgow's shipyards? The Norwegians understand the importance of European security. The Norwegians understand the importance of territorial integrity. The Norwegians understand the importance of the High North, and I pay credit to those in my own constituency at RM Condor for their own work in that particular area. They know that Donetsk is Ukrainian, Luhansk is Ukrainian, Crimea is Ukrainian. Now, the US ambassador to NATO said recently that no chunks that were not, and I quote, earned on the battlefield should be given over to Russia. When he meets with his US counterpart in a couple of weeks' time, can he be clear that no chunks of Ukraine are earned by aggressors on the battlefield, and Ukraine's integrity, territorial integrity, is testament regardless of our political allegiance here?
Secretary of State.
The Ukrainians are fighting for their territorial integrity. The Ukrainians are doing the fighting. It's for the Ukrainians to decide when to stop fighting and the terms on which they do so. Our job in the UK, my job as Defence Secretary, is to ensure that we give them the maximum possible support in the fight, and we'll give them maximum support possible as they go into the negotiations. And can I just say, to finish, the declaration that he fully supports, and I hope he can speak on behalf of his party for that the biggest ever British warship export deal is welcome in this House.
Alex Sobel.
And Deputy Speaker, I want to start by paying tribute to Andrei Parubi, the former Ukrainian speaker, who was brutally assassinated in his home city, Lviv. He played a key role in the Maidan protests, which freed Ukraine of Russian interference. I really thank my right honourable friend for raising the issue of the British Council attack in Kyiv. A man was injured. We need to remember the British Council isn't just any body. It's an arm's-length body of the FCDO. It takes British culture and values and English language teaching around the world. In the same attack, the EU delegation building was also attacked. And we heard tonight from Bulgaria that Ursula von der Leyen's plane was jammed by Russia and had difficulty landing and had to use paper maps to land. We're hearing more and more, I'm afraid, on the streets that this war is a matter for Ukraine and Russia. But I think everybody in this chamber knows that if Ukraine falls, it won't end there. And this is a war for all of us, and Ukraine are fighting for all of us. And I'd like my friend to reassure me that we are making very clear that we know that Putin's aggression will not stop at Ukraine if Ukraine fails, and they are fighting for all of us, and we'll give them all the support that they need to ensure that we are all free in Europe.
Secretary of State.
Madam Deputy Speaker, my honourable friend speaks plainly and strongly. Can I recognise the work that he's done on Ukraine, just in the way that President Zelensky did last month when he awarded my honourable friend the Order of Merit from Ukraine Defence Support. Can I say to him also, he's right to remind the House of the recent assassination of Andrei Parubi, and it is something that should be it's a reminder of the brutality of the invasion, and in many ways this wasn't just Andrei was not just a leader in the Maidan uprising. He's an ex-speaker of the Ukrainian parliament, and in many ways his assassination brings home just how serious this is to us in this House. And finally, the point my honourable friend makes, which is if Putin prevails in Ukraine, he won't stop at Ukraine, is one of the reasons that the British public, the British House of Commons and the British government remain so strongly steadfast in our support for Ukraine.
Sir John Whittingdale.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's 17 days since President Trump rolled out the red carpet to Putin, during which time, as he has said, Russia has stepped up its bombardment of Ukraine with drones and missiles. And can I thank him for his remarks about Andrei Parubi, the former Speaker of the Rada. I knew him well and admired him hugely. And actually, the last time I met him was when we entertained him in this House as the visiting Speaker who came here. And it is a mark of Putin's hatred of democracy that he regarded the democratic Speaker of a parliament as a appropriate target. Does the Secretary of State agree that Putin at the present time shows no interest in a ceasefire? And will he do whatever he can to persuade President Trump that the only way that Putin can be made to consider a ceasefire is by stepping up the pressure on Russia through extra sanctions and by giving ever more support to Ukraine?
Secretary of State.
I think the whole House appreciates the right honourable gentleman's remarks about Andrei Parubi and appreciates the relationship that he had with him. On the question of pressure on Putin to come to the negotiating table, that is a matter for it's a matter for the nations that stand with Ukraine, and we're determined to play our role. It is also a matter that is recognised by the US and the US President. He wants Putin to come to the table. He wants Putin now to start to act in the way that he says, which is interested in peace, ready to talk about peace, but at the moment not yet showing enough sign of doing so.
Luke Charters.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. To secure the peace in the long term for Ukraine, we need to support its defence industrial base and therefore the financial sector that underpins it. But I'm concerned that UK export finance red tape could be limiting UK-Ukraine defence partnerships. And I also believe we could launch new joint defence innovation funds. Would my right honourable friend consider carefully these ideas and work with me to discuss how we can support Ukraine's defence financing system too?
Secretary of State.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the short answer is yes. The slightly longer answer is that we are already working hard with Ukraine on some of these questions of joint ventures, joint industrial partnerships, and indeed our Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, in June with President Zelensky, declared when he visited Downing Street that this is an area of reinforcing our industrial connections and joint enterprise that will help Ukraine in the fight now, will help develop Ukrainian industry, but could bring benefits to us and our armed forces in the future.
Richard Tice.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I congratulate the Secretary of State and all those involved in the Type 26 frigate deal, which is great news for all and for economic growth, and reiterate our continuing support for Ukraine, and also to this government and the Secretary of State to working with other world leaders in trying to secure a ceasefire. And I suppose we shouldn't be surprised by Putin's appalling continuation of bombing Ukraine. And can I urge the Secretary of State to work with other world leaders to use the leverage that I think we still have of the $300 billion of frozen central bank assets that I think could help in the negotiations with Putin?
Secretary of State.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I thank the honourable gentleman? I note his view on the frozen Russian assets, and I welcome his declaration of support for Ukraine and his condemnation of Vladimir Putin. The all-party nature of the support for Ukraine in this House is very important, and it is particularly welcome that he's here this afternoon and he makes that clear for the Reform Party.
Serena Breckenridge. you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Russia's aggression directly threatens our security here at home. Does my right honourable friend agree that the push for peace matters not just for Ukrainian people, but for all of our security? And we must invest in the defence industry in constituencies like Wolverhampton North East to deter Russian aggression and stand in solidarity with Ukraine.
We are listening in to the UK House of Commons as they continue to discuss the Ukraine-Russia war. Also part of the conversation, President Trump's role in negotiations. I did want to share this beautiful live look with you over the U.S. Capitol as Congress will reconvene tomorrow following the August recess. Just a gorgeous look there with the skies and the clouds dotting the blue. Time right now is 3:53 Eastern, 12:53 Pacific on this Labor Day. I'm Stephanie Quinue. We are going to step away for a break. Andy Mack will be your host.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack, a live look, picturesque day there on this Labor Day in our nation's capital, the U.S. Capitol there here on this Monday. Also just down the road, 1600 Pennsylvania, as the White House looking pretty here as well. So thank you so much for joining us here. I'm Andy Mack, now in the anchor chair. Thank you to my colleagues for guiding you the last several hours here on this Labor Day. So many millions of Americans out and about traveling for this holiday. Really the end, the capstone to the summer season as we enter fall. So many kids going back to school. So we're following all the latest, as I mentioned, so many people traveling, getting out and about, and we have all these cool pictures: Clearwater, Florida, Daytona Beach, Wildwood, New Jersey, South Carolina, all up and down the coast as people are out enjoying the sun. Also another live look there at all of our airport shots, arrivals, departures, Atlanta, LAX, St. Louis, and Philadelphia. So obviously following all of this here on Live Now from Fox very closely. And as we enter yet another new week, it's been a busy time. As the last time we saw President Trump, he was inside of a cabinet meeting surrounded by fellow members of the administration, talking for over 3 hours. And of course, talking about potentially strategy ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Let's take you right now out to Doug Luzader that gets us up to speed on how they're approaching this next important election.
We love you.
Donald Trump won't be on the ballot in November, but make no mistake, Democrats have him in their sights.
Stop with the navel gazing. We are facing an authoritarian in the White House right now, a fascist regime in this country.
That was the call to action from Democratic Party Chairman Ken Martin at the party's summer meeting last week. Just 6 months into his term, he's tasked with rebuilding and rebranding the party after last year's stinging defeat for the White House.
Let's get off our and actually get in this fight.
But this is a party still divided. Much of the energy is on the far left, with candidates like Zohran Mamdani for New York mayor. And as some Democrats push for a move to the middle to attract moderate voters, Axios reports that the party is considering an unusual mini-convention ahead of next year's elections.
If people are excited about what's fresh and what's new in the Democratic Party, I say put them all on stage, let people see them, and hopefully that helps boost fundraising numbers as well.
Republicans, of course, are skeptical.
What's going to save the Democrats, if they get saved, is if they get candidates who recognize that they have to go to the American people and talk in a language that is normal, and that they have to do things that get the Democratic Party back to the middle, not drive it further to the left.
And to some degree, history will be on the side of Democrats next year, with the party out of power, generally picking up seats in the midterms. But recent polls also show the Democratic brand is still struggling with many voters. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much for that, Doug. The report, as so many are keeping an eye on the key elections around the country. We're also following on an international front some of the developments, because that meeting between President Trump and Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Alaska several weeks ago almost feels like a lifetime, and not a ton of movement on the front in that war in Ukraine. And this also is in light of the recent meeting between leaders from India, from China and Russia as well, getting together. For more on this, let's go on to Alex Hogan that brings us up to speed on what we should know there.
Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to find out which way it's going to go.
President Trump's 2-week deadline for Russia to move forward with the peace process with Ukraine is now here, and the attacks keep coming. Overnight, Russia launched more than 80 drones following a weekend of heavy airstrikes. The White House has floated the idea of more sanctions on countries that buy embargoed Russian oil, like China and India.
It fuels the Russian war machine. India is nothing but a laundromat for the Kremlin.
But Russian President Putin is working to stop his country from being isolated. On Monday, he met with the Chinese and Indian presidents at a summit aimed at strengthening cooperation.
We highly appreciate the efforts and proposals of China and India aimed at facilitating the settlement of the Ukrainian crisis.
Those efforts are at odds with most Western countries who want to see the U.S. take a harder stance. French President Macron says if the deadline is ignored, it will mean, quote, Putin has played President Trump.
Putin is only duping leaders and drawing them into his camp, and he is staving off the threat of sanctions by doing so.
Meanwhile, a suspected Russian GPS jamming attack hit a plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Monday. The plane landed safely, but officials say this underscores the growing threat from Moscow.
This will only reinforce even further our unshakable commitment to ramp up defense capabilities.
The EU says that von der Leyen will continue her 4-day tour of allies near the Russian border. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much for that, Alex. And President Trump has threatened sanctions against Russia for not potentially coming to the table there with Ukraine and other countries involved as well. Back here at home, we followed very closely last week the firing of the CDC director, an upheaval there at that department. And for more on this, let's go out right now to David Spunt that gets us refreshed on what we should know in terms of that and also vaccines.
President Trump is wading back into a COVID controversy. On Monday, he once again cast doubt on the effectiveness of vaccines and other COVID-related treatments. Writing in part on social media, quote, many people think they are a miracle that saved millions of lives. Others disagree, with CDC being ripped apart over this question. I want the answer and I want it now. The post comes just days after the head of the CDC was fired and dozens of top officials resigned, allegedly over political interference in the vaccine process.
It's an assault on CDC, and it is making Americans less safe.
Some experts say it's extremely rare for the White House to get involved with these types of public health decisions.
Various guardrails in the sort of within the bureaucracy have been knocked down.
The White House is pushing back, claiming there were big problems at the CDC that required new leadership.
The reason for the revocation of that emergency youth authorization is because obviously the COVID pandemic and the public health emergency is over.
But researchers say it's too soon to start making judgments about the vaccines because the mRNA technology used to create them is evolving so quickly.
This brand new technology is really critical to figuring out what the scope of potential and benefit that it can really have.
President Trump says drug makers showed him, quote, great numbers and results, and he's calling on them to release that data to the public. In Washington, David Spunt, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much for that, David. And also very important when we're talking about vaccines as we now ending summer, entering fall. It is soon enough flu season, cold season. So that is going to be a conversation for so many people that are potentially immunocompromised. So we'll have more on this throughout the days. Again, a live picture here on Live Now from Fox. A couple Live Now looks around the country in Washington, D.C. at the White House. And potentially we could soon see President Trump returning there, getting back to the office and back to work as the really work week begins in earnest on Tuesday. Just down the road there as well, a nice sight, blue skies atop the U.S. Capitol here just past 4 o'clock there on the East Coast. And we're monitoring all of this here. So many people out and about enjoying, soaking up the sun for the final time this season for the summer as people going back to school, kids getting back to class. But obviously looking at different beaches there, Clearwater, Myrtle Beach, some of the prettiest beaches in the United States. And of course, as another big headline today, that being the Powerball, the jackpot has elevated to more than $1 billion. Yes, with a B. We'll have much more on all of that as a drawing coming up after nobody had the winning ticket. No one had the golden ticket over the weekend. We'll see and learn what we should know about that coming up here after this quick 2-minute break. We'll be back after this. All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us. And so you're telling me there's a chance the new Powerball lottery elevating to more than $1 billion, now one of the top 5 prizes all time, and the drawing will be later on tonight. For more on this, let's go out to Caroline Elliott with this report.
That next chance is Monday night at 10:59 p.m., which means some random person could walk into a gas station later, buy a $2 ticket, and could then become a billionaire, which is why so many people just love this game. Now, we do know that players will have another chance to win that $1.1 billion jackpot. The prize has an estimated cash value of $498.4 million, which is the game's fifth largest prize ever. When that kind of money is up for grabs, guys, these people are buying multiple tickets, and others are even playing as a family or within a friend group just to up their chances.
That's a lot of money. It could change a lot of people's life.
I use it to take, buy a house, take care of my family, build a place for homeless people, get them off the street if we can.
Get a house. I'm like living with my brother right now. Get a house for sure.
Winners will have two different options in getting that money. It can be paid out over 29 years, or you can just get it all at once, which, of course, no surprise there, is the more popular option. Tickets are only $2, but before we all get our hopes up here, you should know, of course, those odds are very, very low. In fact, it's 1 in 292.2 million. So statistically, a math professor would say that you have better odds of getting struck by lightning. In Atlanta, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
All right, and if you are holding that winning ticket, it will feel like you are struck by lightning, winning this $1.1 billion, the fifth most all time. And I bet so many people out there are trying to cash in as well. And you could vote. Have you purchased? Will this be buying? Will you be buying a Powerball ticket? People are already chiming in. Yes, no, maybe. You can scan that QR code to the top right portion of your screen. Are you participating in this tonight? And we all know that the more people that participate, the higher it's going to get quicker, and that's obviously dependent on if anyone does have ultimately the winning ticket, but it could get even higher if there are no successful winners later on. So again, I'm just going to keep this on the screen for a little bit. Scan that QR code, get those cell phones out, open those cameras, scan it right now, and you can cast your ballot to see if you think you are going to be coming out on top, if you could potentially be a billionaire. All right, well, let's continue on and talk about this. Bring in right now, lawyer, someone that is very familiar with the Powerball Lotto, Kurt Panauskas. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. You have handled people that have had those winning tickets right there on their fingertips. What's the advice if someone is holding a winning ticket?
Yes, I've actually helped about 50 jackpot winners across the country, so it's more than just one or two. But my number one advice is for them to understand at this level, what we're talking about, the client needs to understand it's necessary to put a plan together. It's more than a claim. A claim is just going up there, sign the back of the ticket, and submitting the ticket and your claim form. What you need to do now is put together a plan, because we're talking about so much money. There's no do-overs. They only get one chance at this. It's the biggest financial decision a person or a family will ever make. And so you want to put a multi-generational plan together. But I tell people, don't sign or mark the ticket just yet. Just take a selfie of the front and the back. Take a selfie of you holding the ticket. Take a copy of the front and the back of the ticket. Put the ticket in a safe place. I suggest a bank safe deposit box, because it takes about 30 days to really put something together that makes sense. And I'll go through that in a minute. But, basically just let the attorney come in and decide what's necessary based on what the client's goals are, so that we could paint the picture on the back of the ticket, and that's who signs it. So if a client signs a ticket, there's a chance that their name may be identified with the winning ticket. So that's the reason I'm to be put off to the side.
Yeah, there are so many different facets to what goes on when you have this winning ticket. And these were the numbers from Saturday. And I think people may be grateful that no one had these. It was 318, 22, 27, 33, 17. So those were the numbers that did not come up. They weren't printed on any tickets there around it. But as we were talking about, some of those kind of layers, the preparation is so important. You say it takes some time to put a plan in order. Walk me through those steps of what people should do.
Sure. What the client also has to understand is that the income tax rate right now for large wins or large incomes is 37%. So it's not going to be $1.1 billion that the client gets. It's $500 million prior to after the lump sum amount, and then after taxes, it's going to be about $300 million. So it's basically $300 million that you need to be planning for as far as how would I use this $300 million? Am I going to give some to my children? Am I going to give some to a brother or sister or to some close friend? Those transfers or those gifts may cause a gift tax as soon as you go over $14 million. That gift tax is 40%. So you have an income tax of 37%, you have a gift tax of 40%. That's why a plan needs to be put together so that the person can identify. I like to ask the person, where do you see yourself a year from now? Who would you have helped out? What would you have wanted done? And then I incorporate that plan into what we are today so that I can help them meet their goals and objectives in a tax efficient manner. I want my clients to be anonymous. I want it to be a tax efficient claim. And I want to surround the client with people that will let the client be successful. So that's putting the team together, the CPAs, the financial people. So that way, again, the client has everything that they need to be successful. The choice between the annuity and that lump sum amount, the annuity could be anywhere from 10 to at the first year to about 40 million on the 30th year. And so you're weighing that versus, do I take the 300 million? Do I invest that and get 10 to $15 million, most of which will be tax-free, and I still have the 300 million in the bank and I've already paid all my taxes on it?
I want to ask you about that because I think everyone kind of envisions it, not only winning the ticket, but like, hey, are you going to pick the annuity or are you going to pick the lump sum? What's the advice? I know it's a case-by-case basis, but it feels like we're generally in the lump sum kind of vision.
Yeah, I think if you can sit down with the client, and I do this early on, and say, okay, these are the options here. So you can take the annuity, and this is what the 30 years of payments are going to look like before and after tax. But at the end of the 30 years, it stops. And if you haven't put money away, you're out of luck. Also, if income taxes go up, and again, what I have to tell clients is back in 1979, the income tax rate was 70%. So that's a lot more than 37% now. So, that's really their option is to, do I do that? Or do I just take the 300 million after tax, invest that with a stock and bond portfolio to get a nice return, safe return, 4 to 5%. Most of which will be income tax free because the dividend rate and the capital gains tax rate you can control. So therefore, most of it will be tax free, and the client will get about $12 to $13 million at least over the course of their lifetime that they could spend every year without ever touching that 300 million. And the 300 million will continue to grow.
And you would hope someone doesn't kind of burn through that type of cash too fast. But hey, you never know. That's why people like you are out there. I do want to ask you, talking about it, because you mentioned that you have to take some deep breaths. And if you see all those numbers come across, it's going to be hard probably for you to breathe. How much time do you have to claim the winnings?
Well, in most states, it's 180 days. And that's also another factor and a decision that has to be made. We're talking about September 1 right now. If someone wins, then do we run down and get the claim the ticket now, in October, let's say, or do we wait until January to claim it and get a whole extra year of use of the money before we actually have to pay taxes? So again, that's another question for the client, but generally you get 180 days.
All right, very good. And I want to ask you, because there's going to be people across the country that are kind of trying to buy these tickets. Does it differentiate what state you bought it in, what state you live it in, potentially?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I get it asked all the time. People live on borders. Wherever you buy the ticket, that's the law that controls the ticket. So if you buy it in Illinois, it's an Illinois ticket, even though you live in Indiana. So if that happens, then you pay your taxes. The source of the income was from Illinois, so you pay the Illinois source tax. But you also have to pay Indiana tax. But you'll get a credit to what you pay for the state of Illinois. So it's not going to be a double tax, but you'll still pay your Indiana tax, income tax on it. And that also was critical prior to this year because we had something called the SALT tax. That was, everyone was hearing about that during the discussion of the tax bill. Most people don't realize that that's state and local tax. So the $25 million today that you might be paying on this jackpot, if you have a state with 5%, the question is, would that be deductible? Well, a year or so ago, only $10,000 was deductible. Today, it's going to be a lot more. Still not the full $25 billion, but, you know, it is an important tax.
Yeah, that is so funny. And I don't know if how much support would be behind no tax on lottos, but maybe that could be in the next reconciliation package.
Well, you know, funny, but the state of California, which you would think would want to tax people, they have no tax on the lottery. So they have an income tax, but no tax on the lottery proceeds.
That is so very interesting. You also mentioned that you need to take kind of the selfie with it. You put it away in a safe space. You also mentioned that you don't really want your name out there if you did win this amount. What's the advice for people about that? Is it forming a business? Is it forming a trust? How would you go about that?
Yeah, so every state's different. And you know, when I get the call, I tell the client, okay, we need to take a look at your state laws. Give me about 12 hours to get myself back up to speed. I have a file on all these states, so I go in there and take a look at it and look to see if there's been any rules that have changed over the last 6 months or so. But basically, some states require the winner to be a natural person. Some states allow for trusts. Some states allow for LLCs. Some states say you can't do any of that stuff. You know, we pay an individual only, and that's it. So you want to get yourself up to speed, and then you want to look for the little opportunities to maybe be compliant, but keep the client anonymous. You know, I'll ask the client a whole bunch of questions. We'll go through a laundry list of suggestions about how to keep the client anonymous. I think if they stay anonymous, they have a really good chance of being successful in their life. If they're identified, there's a big chance that people are going to come out of the woodwork and their life's going to be miserable.
And I want to ask you about something that we talked about off camera, almost jokingly, about there being office pools, because sometimes groups of people will go in on it together thinking that, hey, potentially, even if they get a cut of this $1.1 billion, they'll be set. Can you talk about that? What kind of advice do you have for people in that, and what complications might that bring into the equation?
Well, you know, obviously, the problem with office pools is it starts up and there's no written documents and everyone just contributes, but someone got left out. And that person that got left out is going to complain, and they're going to say, hey, I should have been included. And eventually there's enough money there where litigation will develop. It's happened all the time. There's a list of maybe 20 or 30 cases that I'm aware of where, again, there was a group, they forgot someone, or they did it for 3 or 4 times. And then the 5th time, someone failed to join in and they sued. So again, it's very difficult. I don't like office pools. You have a pool, and when you have a pool, there's a deep end. When there's a deep end, it's dangerous. So I tell people not to do it. And again, as I said when we were talking off camera, there's a chance that your employer might say, hey, wait a minute, you did this on company time. I should be part of this, and or I should claim the whole thing because you're working for me. So again, a lot of bad things can happen. Because there's a lot of money, there's a lot of opportunities for people to bring a claim. So just be careful with that. If you're going to do an office pool, make sure it's in writing, but make sure each drawing is a separate event. In other words, if you win $100 tonight and it rolls over and now it's $2 billion, make sure that if you win the $100, you don't roll that over and then buy more tickets, because if someone got left out the second time, they'll say, hey, I was in on the original, so I have my $100, my portion of the $100 is in there. So again, I would just do a payout for each event and say, okay, September 1, this is the lottery pool for September 1, and this is the one for September 3rd, and they're different pools.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's something you don't really think about if you're kind of going in on this just for fun. And obviously that can complicate things, also sour relationships, especially in a place of business. Another question I have to ask, because we're talking about that story and some of the things that people potentially do with this money if they do win it. Is there any advice about that, about what people can do with money? Because they talked about buying houses or investing in the stock market. Is there anything that you guide people on about that?
Yes. So generally what happens when I meet the people for the first time or talk to them for the first time, they're so overjoyed with all this wealth that they, have on paper. And so they say, okay, I'm going to keep a third. I'm going to give a third away to family members and friends. And then I'm going to give a third to charity. And then when the money actually comes in, they actually see their bank account and they see the numbers. That changes a little bit, and their perspective on life changes. So if a client will say, hey, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to buy, I will ask them immediately to put down a list. Let's put a list together of your needs and wants. Put a list of all these things down. hey, I want to buy a boat. Hey, I want to buy a new car. I want to do this. And I'll tell them, can we go 6 months without buying anything? Just go 6 months. Let's look at things, at what you want to buy, but take 6 months to do this. And at the end of the 6 months, I'll say to them, hey, was it really a need or was it a want? And so that puts into perspective for them so that they can, make a decision about, hey, maybe I don't need this. Of course, people don't need villas today. They don't need to be driving, going around the country and buying, or the world and buying villas here and there. There's something called Airbnb and VRBO. You can go rent a place without owning it and have any responsibilities for, a fraction of the cost without any cost of ownership. So, there's lots of things that people can do. One of the things that people do with this kind of money, though, is fly privately. That's usually the number one thing that we get them to consider, because of the hassle these days of flying and traveling to the airport and parking and everything that goes with it. The ability to do something just by going to your local airport and jumping on your own private plane and being someplace in 4 hours that's across the U.S. makes a lot of sense to people.
All right, that's very interesting. And I want to ask you, because when you're dreaming about potentially buying a lotto ticket, buying a Powerball ticket, and then ultimately winning, you've had experience with some of these people, with, like you mentioned, some of those 50 people that have had the pleasure of having that ticket. In your eyes, does it actually change people, or does it continue to live their life?
Well, sometimes it has the ability to get people to think about their relationships, whether it's friends or even a spouse. And so now the money allows them to do things that they couldn't have done before, whether that's good or bad. And so, it does allow people to reassess their relationships, and sometimes they move on from them. Sometimes, they want to help friends and be part of it, or family members and be part of it. But it does cause some rifts sometimes between husbands and wives about how the money's going to be applied and used, and even in their own relationship. And it's sad, because this is an opportunity for them to do some wonderful things and think of other people. But, you have to almost be a counselor. So I'm a tax person. I'm a CPA. I'm an attorney. I've done with wealth transfers. And I never took a psychology class in my life, but all of a sudden I become some type of marital family counselor for them.
That is so very true. And there's just so many aspects, and you can't imagine what it would feel like. And obviously having that, there's definitely pros and positives to it, but there are also cons and burdens of potentially winning it. All right, Kurt, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate your time. It's fascinating and valuable insight.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Great conversation there as always. And as we were talking about it, have you bought a Powerball ticket? I want to put this up one more time here on Live Now from Fox. Scan that QR code to the top right portion of your screen. Are you going to try to go in on this? A 1 in 292 million, a chance there of potentially winning this amount. Not going to be $1.1 billion. It'll be down due to all the taxes, but still a special moment as so many millions of people out there with those tickets. I'm Andy Mack. We're back after this. All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Thank you so much for joining us as we're talking about Labor Day. It is Labor Day weekend. A couple Live Now looks at different beaches around the country there. Clearwater, Florida, Daytona Beach, Florida, Myrtle Beach, Wildwood, New Jersey, just to name a few. But there's still 20 days until the autumn equinox. It's Labor Day, which means the unofficial end of summer. For more on how people are spending their holiday weekend, we're going to be joined right now by Fox's Caroline Elliott. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Caroline, where are you? Looks like a picturesque setting. How are you ending the summer?
Yeah, Andy Mack, look, it might look perfect out here and it might look gorgeous out here at Lake Lanier, but believe me, Andy Mack, we're having a really, really tough time out here. And that's because it is never easy to say goodbye to summer. We know that hearts are just breaking everywhere right now, especially for those little ones who just love summer so much, Andy Mack. But hey, what better way to end this wonderful time of the year than right here with a day at the lake. We of course know before we know it, a lot of those colder temperatures are going to creep back in. But before then, a lot of people are taking the time to just take one last boat day or maybe one more camping trip before those fall routines set in. And Andy Mack, we talked with some people who are just celebrating the end of summer, and the kids especially are just devastated.
Because I don't want to be in pools. Because it's hot and I don't like cold weather. Because I just play video games all day and I'm sad to have to go to school.
Yeah, but college football is starting back up.
Yes, I love college football.
So there is some positivity out of all of this. Andy Mack, AAA saw record-breaking travel for the three-day holiday weekend, and those that did fly this weekend found some cheaper prices too. Hey, we love this, right? AAA says flights are down 6%, hotels are down 11%, and rental cars are down 3%. So we also got to enjoy some cheaper gas prices today as well. And a lot of my friends who had boats said that it was also cheaper for them to fill their boats up this summer. So look, wins all across the board. Andy Mack.
That is so very true. And obviously, maybe it's good to have not only a boat, but friends with boats. That is the kind of key to it all, I really think.
That's, yes.
I love it.
Cheat code in life right there.
It's so true. You brought up the college football aspect of it, and you are right there in Georgia. Are there any Dogs fans? Is that who you mainly talk to?
You're looking at one, Andy Mack. Okay, I went to UGA, so of course I'm a football girl. But yeah, a lot of people here, you know, in the South, that's certainly something that a lot of people would even call a religion in some parts of the South. So big deal here, Andy Mack.
Between the hedges, we will soon find you, Caroline Elliott. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I appreciate your time. Enjoy, soak up the final little bits of summer.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Great conversation there, as always, as we wrap up here this Labor Day weekend, the unofficial end to summer. And so many people are on vacation, enjoying this holiday, but they got to get back to reality somehow. All these different airports, Atlanta, LAX, St. Louis, Philadelphia, some of the busiest tarmacs in the entire world. All right. Following it all here on Live Now from Fox, we're back after this. All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. We are following over the weekend a deadly ATV crash. 2 people tragically killed, 7 others were injured, and a majority of those injured were children ranging from 1 year old to 12 years old. Let's take you out right now to our Fox 5 team there in Atlanta talking about this. And of course, this happened in a very rural portion of the Southeast. Let's listen into this latest update.
He's a good person. Like, you like to be around me fun. He just like to do fun stuff. Like, always positive, keep a good mind. I'm gonna miss him.
That's how Marco Ragland says he'll remember his older brother, Marcus Ragland. Audrey Dunn has 2 children with Marcus and is pregnant with another of his kids. She says he had picked up her 1-year-old and 5-year-old for the Labor Day weekend. Then Saturday, she saw the news on Facebook.
And I couldn't find my kids. Because they were in the accident.
According to the Cherokee County, Alabama Emergency Management Agency, 7 children and 2 adults were all riding together on an ATV at Indian Mountain ATV Park when they crashed into another ATV, causing their vehicle to overturn and hit a tree. The driver, who the family has identified as Ragland, died at the scene. Responders had to call in 4 helicopters to transport the woman and 3 of the children to a hospital in Birmingham, while the other 4 kids were taken to the Atrium Floyd Medical Center in Rome. The family says that woman was his girlfriend and the mother of 2 of his children. She later died at the hospital, but the family says all of the kids have survived. The 4 who were taken to Rome have all been discharged, including Dunn's little ones.
My 1-year-old is limping, and he has like his face is scratched up pretty bad. Josiah has a gash on the top of his head, but he's okay. So thank God, the babies are okay.
The other 3 are still at the hospital in Birmingham. Dunn says all of Ragland's 10 children, including hers, are going to need a lot of support in their father's absence.
They all needed their daddy, and now he's not going to be here. So they just need support.
Obviously, a very heartbreaking story there out of Alabama. We were hearing there from investigators yesterday talking about how they're looking into this precisely, what was involved into this, because they're talking about just the amount of people on these ATVs draws into questions about what was going on, what led them to do this. As the collision happened there, a rural point, there were helicopters, ambulances trying to get to the scene very, very quickly. So obviously a very tragic event there that unfolded in a rural area, a park in Alabama, as 2 people tragically losing their lives right there. All right, we're following it very closely here on Live Now from Fox, and we potentially are awaiting any comments from President Trump as he is in Virginia. We do have kind of a feed that we're monitoring right now to potentially see if we can get some visuals of the president here in just a little bit of time. We have not seen him since last Thursday during that extended cabinet meeting that went some 3 hours. So, of course, we're keeping an eye on that feed here right now on Live Now from Fox, just past 4:30 local time there in our nation's capital. So obviously that is a very important point of all of this. And let's talk more about some of the important aspects of what President Trump is talking about, as we are learning information about a federal judge blocking the deportations for children. Let's go out right now to Alexandria Hoff with this latest update.
As planes full of unaccompanied children sat on the tarmac, a federal judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration from deporting them back to their home country of Guatemala.
He came here from a shelter. We hoped the lawyer could fight his case here, but unfortunately it wasn't possible. You see how fate works.
The order was handed down just after 4 a.m. Sunday after immigration advocacy groups filed an emergency lawsuit. Attorneys accused the Trump administration of deporting children without giving them due process and, quote, exposing children to multiple harms and returning them to a country where they fear persecution and by flouting their legal obligations to care for them in the United States. But the White House insists it was just trying to reunite them with their families who were seeking their return.
Notwithstanding the work that the State Department have done and working with the Guatemalan government for over a month, this judge said, nope, you cannot do it. in the middle of the night.
The roughly 600 Guatemalan children came to the U.S. illegally and were unaccompanied, largely via human smugglers. They are currently in the care of the Department of Health and Human Services.
This is judicial activism. These organizations that run to the courts to try to stop us from doing the job that's on the books, the laws that Congress have put on the books.
Immigration is expected to be on the agenda when Secretary of State Marco Rubio heads to Central America tomorrow for a 3-day trip. In Washington, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to be following that into this work week. We'll keep an eye on all of that in terms of immigration, as it's so very important to so many people. All right, turning our attention now to the latest developments on the fatal shooting, the mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic School south of Minneapolis last week. And you can see a live picture right now there at the Twin Cities here on this Monday. And we're learning more about that brave little boy, that 10-year-old who spoke with reporters talking about his vision, what he saw, witnessing the gunfire ringing out as they were in that mass to really start the first week of school. We're learning more information about him as he will need to undergo surgery to have a bullet fragment removed from his neck. Fox 9's Babs Santos has this report.
It was super scary.
Wednesday, August 27th.
It was very scary.
Is a day South Minneapolis will never forget. Children wounded physically and mentally when a shooter opened fire through the windows of Annunciation Church during a school day mass.
So we really didn't know what to do. We just got into the pews and he shot through the stained glass windows.
Just after the shooting, Fox 9 spoke with survivor, 10-year-old Weston Halsney.
Yeah, I'm just like confused kinda because I never thought it would happen and it just happened. So like, just kind of crazy.
During the interview, Weston showed us an injury from the shooting.
I don't even know what it's from. Kind of looks like debris or something.
Now Weston knows. On a new online fundraiser, his family says since the interview, it was discovered that Weston will need surgery to remove a bullet fragment lodged dangerously close to his neck's carotid artery. Weston's family has asked the community for prayers and donations. Meanwhile, in another update,
my friend got shot in the back. He's in the hospital right now.
Last week, Weston told Fox 9 about the heroic actions of his friend Victor.
And then my friend Victor, he was like laying on top of me, like making sure I was safe, and he got hit. So that was really brave of him.
And now we know Victor is out of the hospital and recovering with family, according to this fundraiser. Victor's family says it's overwhelmed and thankful for more than $300,000 in donations received.
All right, obviously, what can you imagine going through that little boy's mind, 10 years old, speaking to reporters with such grace? And obviously, he needs to undergo surgery for a bullet fragment that is in his neck. And that is just also showcasing some of the indirect injuries that others around some of these shootings happen. You don't have to be directly necessarily hit with something like that to have it be such serious impacts. And I do want to put up this as well. You heard there, Weston Halsey's there asking for donations. This is the GoFundMe, as they are saying, support Weston's healing journey. They're asking people to raise over $54,000 right now at this point, and so much outpouring of love there in support. We saw a couple vigils, memorials grow. We saw the father, the parent of one of the small children that lost their lives, speak just days after this tragedy that unfolded there in the Twin Cities, and just the power there that had to have to be out there and be able to speak. And you can only imagine what was Weston thinking at that moment after this all unfolded early Wednesday morning at that Catholic school. He's just going to school to be with his friends, and this happened, unfolding. Some of his classmates, some of his peers, unfortunately losing their lives. Now he himself has to undergo surgery. Again, a live picture there in the Twin Cities here on Live Now from Fox. And earlier on today, residents and community leaders gathered for a march to support the victims of last week's mass shooting at Annunciation Church and School. The mayor, Jacob Fry, called for a statewide and nationwide ban on assault rifles and high-powered magazines. Monday's march went from the Lake Harriet band shell to the Lyndhurst Park, where one of the vigils was held. Let's take you out to some of these comments here from the mayor with this bullhorn earlier today.
A statewide and a national ban on assault weapons. We can have a statewide and a national ban on high-capacity magazines. These, by the way, should not be controversial positions. We're not talking about your father's hunting rifle. We're talking about the ability to reel off 30 rounds without having to reload. The kind of guns that were literally created to pierce armor and kill people. We don't need those guns in our city. And by the way, if the state or the feds are either unwilling or unable to get it done, give us in Minneapolis the ability to ban them ourselves. And so the fact that you are here tells me that you are literally marching towards action. The fact that you are here tells me that you're not going to stop at prayers and thoughts. And the fact that you're here tells me that you're already also ready to vote, ready to door knock, ready to give to some of these statewide representatives and politicians next year that support the kind of measures that we're talking about. And so, do not quit. Do not let this moment pass. Do not let them wait you out until you slowly forget and you move on to the next thing. You have to keep the pedal to the metal. You have to make sure that our children are safe. Think of them not as somebody else's kids. Think of them as your own. Demand action. Get involved with groups across our city and our state, from Protect Minnesota to Moms Demand Action to countless other groups that are doing the necessary work right now. Work with David Gill. And we are a city united to make sure this can happen. So thank you so much. And next I have the honor of welcoming up an incredible individual from Moms Demand Action in Michelle Hansen. Everybody give it up for her.
Thank you, Mayor Fry, and thank you to David for bringing us all together. As a community, we're grieving and honoring the families who've been personally affected by this horrific school shooting on Wednesday. The antidote to despair is action, and I've heard from several people, including many among you, who want to know what they can do. Right now, you can text MN to 64433, which will take you to a form to contact your legislators about an assault weapon ban. You can also check a box to be contacted about more opportunities to be part of Moms Demand Action if you wish to do that. Or you can text READY to 64433, where you'll bypass the legislator outreach and instead be asked for your zip code, phone number, address to connect you with local actions and events. Number one is you don't need to be a mom to participate in this movement. You can take action in small or big ways. In fact, right now, several Moms Demand Action volunteers are supporting our youth activists with a meeting at the Capitol at 1 p.m. for a rally that will be important to call for a ban on assault weapons. You could also donate blood, contribute to Annunciation, or donate to one of the children or individuals impacted by this week's shooting. Remember, there is strength in numbers, but there's also room to rest and take care of yourself. Thanks again to David for allowing me to speak today.
Next on stage, we have the Executive Director of the DFL, Jim Harrington.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm Jim Harrington, Executive Director of the Minnesota DFL, and I am sick and tired of being told that thoughts and prayers are all that we can offer up for something like this. My family is Catholic. We go to church right here in Minneapolis. Every Sunday we pray for the victims of violence, and that is not enough. That's not changing the outcomes that we see. So today when we start walking, I want us to remember one thing. We are not walking towards the finish line. We are walking towards the starting line. With every step you take, not just today, but tomorrow, and next week, and next year, with our feet, with our dollars, and with our votes, we are going to demand change. We are demanding real change. We are demanding policy change. The kind of lasting change that our communities deserve, that our families deserve, and that we all deserve. So I ask you for one thing today. With every step that we take forward, commit yourself, not just to this walk today, but to what you're going to do tomorrow, what you're going to do next week, and what you're going to do next year when it comes time to vote who's going to represent us and pass the kind of laws that we need. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the walk today.
Okay, we are going to start the walk shortly. Please, please, please. This all happened very quickly. Oh. You want to voice it? Yeah, that'd be great. We have somebody from Annunciation coming up.
I would like to ask everyone to pray for Sophia, who is still in intense care at the hospital. And I would like to lead you in prayer for right now. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Thank you all for being here with us, and God bless.
Wow, I'm still just so in awe. This all came together really fast, as I said.
There to some of those individuals, including a student that was potentially in one of those pews as gunshots rang out last week at Annunciation Catholic School, leading that group of leaders, community in prayer there for some of the victims that are still recovering, as we're learning more than 20 kids suffering, sustaining injuries following these mass shooting there that transpired. Of course, we also heard there from the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, calling for a ban, a statewide, a nationwide ban on assault rifles. And they did hold a march there as they were talking about going from the Lake Harriet bandshell, very picturesque setting, over to Lyndhurst Park. This is just a few blocks away from what we were watching unfold just last week with the memorials taking place there. So, of course, you can see this here on Live Now from Fox as well, from the St. Paul Police Department, as they're saying in the wake of the unthinkable act of violence that took place at Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis, the St. Paul Police Department has offered to provide police presence at all public and private schools within the St. Paul School District to bolster a sense of safety and security in our community. And this happened all during the first week of school at that Catholic institution there. There's a church, there's a school on campus there, saying they're going to provide assistance. So obviously the Twin Cities, a very big, diverse group of people coming together as they are going to bolster it. It's an honor to serve the city of St. Paul community, who never ceases to show you your support. Now it's our time to do what we can to support our students, their families, educators during this very difficult time. So you'll see uniformed officers, marked squad cars, along with members of the St. Paul Fire Department there in that community from Tuesday, September 2nd through Friday, September 5th. So the upcoming few days. I'm Andy Mack. We're back after this. All right, welcome back in here to Live and Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. We're learning more information right now about Rudy Giuliani, as on Monday, President Trump said he's awarding the former New York City mayor, Rudy Giuliani, in the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And you can see this post here on Live Now from Fox from the White House on this Monday, saying, as President of the United States of America, I am pleased to announce that Rudy Giuliani, the greatest mayor in the history of New York City and an equally great American patriot, will receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom, our country's highest civilian honor. So obviously he's saying this as details to come, the place to follow. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And we sometimes see it kind of in the East Room, some of these proceedings unfold. And obviously Rudy Giuliani, renowned for his handling after the tragedy that unfolded in New York City during the 9/11 terrorist attack. You're looking at this earth cam shot of some of those museums and the memorials. Certainly a very somber place there after that all happened. Of course, this also happens after a wild weekend, a busy weekend, as Giuliani still recovering from a fractured vertebrae and other injuries following a car crash in New Hampshire in which he was a passenger. This, according to a spokesperson for the mayor, said on Sunday. This accident happened as Giuliani was being driven in a rented Ford Bronco by his spokesperson when their vehicle was struck from behind by a Honda HR-V driven by a 19-year-old woman late Saturday evening, as the New Hampshire State Police said in a statement. Giuliani, obviously, in the headlines quite a bit. He was disbarred as an attorney in New York and Washington after he was found to have repeatedly made false statements about President Trump's 2020 election loss. He was criminally charged in Georgia and Arizona over his role in the effort to overturn the 2020 election, but denied those allegations. A live picture right now there in Washington, D.C. at the White House. As this, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, is the highest civilian honor in the United States awarded by the president to individuals who have made a, quote, especially meritorious contribution to the security or national interest of the United States or to world peace or to cultural or other significant public or private endeavors. So as we heard there from the president and the White House, there will be a time and a place potentially for this eventually to unfold where we'll see this happen. But learning more about it here on Live Now from Fox's President Donald Trump will award Rudy Giuliani with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. All right, following it closely here on Live Now from Fox, a live picture one more time there in New York City, the Empire State Building here on this Labor Day, as we are entering yet a new week, as we have capped off the Labor Day, the unofficial end of summer. A live picture at different locations around the country, different airports, millions of Americans traveling right now. That is a conversation as they're out and about, getting home, getting back to reality, getting back to business here as we start the new work week. But we've seen earlier on thousands of people in different communities also get out and about to protest. And we saw this unfold earlier on today in Minnesota.
With stories that matter to you, this is Fox 6 News at 4.
This is dangerous stuff, and somebody's going to end up dead if they don't stop.
Now at 4, taking over more than a dozen streets in Milwaukee, what the mayor says they're doing in an attempt to curb the problem. We're talking street takeovers. Plus,
the feeling down here today is definitely one of joy, like a family reunion.
Happy Labor Day, everybody. We're going to take you to the pulse of Labor Day unions in Milwaukee, and some of them have some concerns. That's our big story today at 4. Glad you're with us. Milwaukee police zigzagging across the city over the weekend, responding to these takeovers.
They're wild. Please tell us, in the last 2 days, there were nearly 20 of them. Durante Matthews joins us live after speaking to a very unhappy Milwaukee mayor about this.
Yeah, Ben and Mary, you know, at this point, Mayor Cavalier Johnson tells me he's just fed up with all the reckless driving, the street takeovers, the overnight issues, just all of it. And you can kind of see why here. We're at 42nd and Mill, and you can see these tire markings left over from those street takeovers over the weekend. Now, mind you, this is one of the nearly 20 places police tell us they responded to. MPD tells us they were called to at least 17 street takeovers from Saturday through Sunday morning. Some calls were in the same area but at different times. Police say officers arrested 3 people, cited 4, and towed 6 vehicles. Now, video of the different incidents have been shared throughout social media over the weekend. Many videos showing people spinning around, doing donuts in cars while folks are hanging out of windows. In some places, crowds were even popping off fireworks, and others, cars were driving around actual fire in the streets. Now, Mayor Johnson says he wants the Common Council to take action on legislation he supported in June that would fine spectators at least $500. He also says he's looking at other local alternatives.
Some things that we can do immediately is start to try to work with our partners on, say a task force to address this thing, a limited term task force to address, some of these problems, find some additional solutions. Anybody with any sense looking at those videos that get posted on social media can see that those are dangerous events, and somebody's going to end up dead.
Now, Mayor Johnson also tells me that he's going to talk with the Department of Public Works about possible physical things that can be placed in the streets that could help crack down on the street takeovers. He also mentioned partnering with local, state, and even federal law enforcement agents, just trying to find some way to get a handle on what's going on and give consequences to those who are participating. Now, I asked him about the possibility of the National Guard intervening, and he tells me that this is not an issue, or a mission rather, for the U.S. military. Reporting live in Milwaukee, Durante Matthews, Fox 6 News.
And in one of the videos, someone gets hit by the car. I wonder how they're feeling today. All right, Durante, thanks.
Well, we now know the name of the man killed in a shooting in Milwaukee. The Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office identifies him as 36-year-old Kevin Harper. That shooting happened Friday near Fond du Lac and Roosevelt. Exactly what led up to the shooting is still under investigation. Police say they have no suspects so far.
We got new details on a crash that seriously injured 2 kids. The kids were 3 and 9 years old. Both were taken to the hospital for treatment of serious injuries. The 3-year-old, we're told, is in critical condition right now. The crash happened Saturday near 91st and Appleton. A 29-year-old woman was arrested. Police say speed was a factor. We're also learning more about a fatal crash from an ATV. Happened in Milwaukee County. The medical examiner says 45-year-old Victor Ramos was killed Saturday near 28th and Concordia. Police say a car heading west hit the ATV, which had 2 people on it. The driver, Ramos, died at the hospital. Police did arrest the 23-year-old driver of the car.
A heads up for drivers after the holiday. The Hale interchange is about to get some bridge upgrades. The State Department of Transportation says the shutdown is part of a project to improve safety and extend the life of the pavement there. The I-894 westbound ramp to I-43 southbound ramp toward Beloit is going to be closed starting on Tuesday night. Then by Friday of next week, the I-43 northbound to 894 eastbound ramp near the airport is expected to close. Both closures will last about 45 days. They're part of a project that won't be finished until late next year. We do have details on the detours in this story. Just head over to our Fox Local mobile app. Well, union workers spent today celebrating and advocating.
Laborfest has started with the parade through downtown Milwaukee down to the Summerfest grounds at Henry Meyer Festival Park. That's where we find Brett Lemoyne joining us live. He's laboring for us. And Brett, I know you talked with leaders. What's their plan on keeping the momentum going from this holiday?
Yeah, Ben and Mary, we spoke with a lot of people today, and they say this event is just about basically education and solidarity as much as it is anything else. Nationally, labor unions adopted a theme of workers over billionaires to mark Labor Day. The Milwaukee Area Labor Council sponsors Laborfest. It's one of the biggest Labor Day celebrations in the country that's free and open to all. Locally, leaders say union members have plateaued since the passage of Act 10, but they're starting to see an uptick. Leaders also pointed to increased public support of unions as a positive sign.
It's nice to see that there are people that are in the fight with you, even if they're doing it in a separate place.
The more respect we give to our workers, I think the better off our economy will be.
Now, some of the themes that are concerning to union members here locally, the rise of AI and it potentially taking away human jobs, and also the rollback of some OSHA protections. Reporting live in Milwaukee, Brett Lemoyne, Fox 6 News.
And Brett, looks like a pretty good crowd there behind you today. Did they get a lot of support outside of the union?
Yeah, I mean, there were people here not just from unions, but from all walks of life, really. And they said they came down to, celebrate, show their support, but also enjoy a beautiful day here at the lakefront as well.
Yeah, it certainly is a good backdrop for that. All right, Brett, thanks.
You know what's good? Brett can use that shirt and wear it to Summerfest.
Yes, he could.
When Summerfest comes to it. It's just so beautiful out there. You might as well be in something with short sleeves on. It feels like summer for kids. Many of them, this is the last day of summer for you.
Exactly. And it really is a perfect time to take a dip. It's not like it's hot and humid, but hey, we're trying to squeeze out as much of summer as we possibly can, Lisa.
We really are, Mary, especially since the warm temperatures or comfortable temperatures we're dealing with today and tomorrow. That's the last of it before very cool fall-like air moves in by the Midland end of this week. But again, we're going to focus on the now because it's gorgeous outside. Mother Nature's giving us a great treat for Labor Day, as many people are enjoying a day off from work and the last day with their kiddos before they head back to school tomorrow. Lots of sunshine, and we are continuing to see temperatures warmer than what we had yesterday. Notice most of our area right now is seeing a mixture of the mid-70s to the mid and upper 70s further inland, a couple lower 70s near the lakefront, but still it is very comfortable because our dew points are lower, meaning it doesn't feel warm and muggy. It's just warmer but dry. As we're looking at our forecast the next 6 hours, we'll still have plenty of sunshine, followed by a beautiful sunset tonight. And tonight, we're looking at having clear skies with temperatures falling into the upper 50s right around midnight. And why is that important, especially with the clear skies? We have a chance of seeing the aurora borealis tonight. Yes, a chance is going to be more favorable for northern portions of the state, but notice this could stretch as far south as northern Illinois. So even right here in southeast Wisconsin, we could have good viewing conditions. We'll talk more about what you need to know for it, though, in my full forecast coming up. Ben and Mary, back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Lisa, plenty to talk about. Amazing weather today, but there are changes on the way. You can count on the Fox 6 Storm Center app, keep you in the know. We got the live radar there. You can track the extended forecast, and if the weather turns severe, you're going to be the first to know about it with our alerts. On Thursday last week, the football world was turned completely upside down.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers traded for an absolute stud, Micah Parsons, getting him from the Dallas Cowboys. And today, our first look at him in the green and gold, and he wears it well. That's right. The NFL star hit the practice field this morning. There'd been some concerns his back was bothering him, but he seemed, prime, looking pretty good out there, ready for action.
Look good.
Yeah, for sure. Packers, by the way, take the field for the first game of the season against division rival, the Detroit Lions, at Lambeau Field. Is Micah Parsons going to make his presence known? From everything that I hear about this, the first thing that I had heard, Ben, when we did this big deal was Reggie White. Now, when you talk about shades of Reggie White, come on now.
He's getting paid like that.
He certainly is.
So if you're a Packers fan, you hope that he makes his presence known. But you also know the defense, or the other team's offensive lines and stuff, they're going to be thinking about him,
Well, that's
right?
what I'm saying.
But that could open up opportunities for other guys, too.
So, again, I'm not a football aficionado. His job is to just plow down everything, keep the quarterback clear so he can do his thing. Is that what it is?
No, he tackles the quarterback. He's the guy who runs.
No, I'm talking about keeping Love clear. So, no, he's not. That's not his deal.
No, that's not his. His deal is to destroy the other quarterback.
The other quarterback. And maybe sack the quarterback?
And yes, make him fear you, and yes.
Oh,
so
okay.
He'll be on the defense.
I see. So. I don't know. I'm learning all these football talks.
He's brand new here. He's got to learn the playbook, too, and so we'll see.
He's making a lot of money. Oof.
Ton of money.
Ton.
County supervisors, they're sounding the alarm, speaking of money, about fare evaders on buses.
Yeah, this is a big deal. Fox 6 investigation says the problem is worse than what's been made public. Why bus drivers don't ask people if they've been paid, and the millions of dollars that's being lost to people just jumping on and not putting money in.
He went to prison after authorities found 19 pounds of meth in his car, then went on the run. The tattoo that could help ID him.
Fox 6 News continues with Mary Stoker-Smith and Ben Handelman.
He went to prison after investigators found 19 pounds of meth in his car. When he was released, he found himself in more trouble, then went on the run.
Fox 6's Ashley Sears explains how he keeps staying hidden using multiple aliases.
No matter how hard you try, there is no escaping your true identity.
It makes him dangerous to society and the community.
For more than a year, 44-year-old Suchai Visethsunathon has been hiding from the law, using dozens of names to stay under the radar.
He does have several fake IDs and fake documents, so that makes it difficult as well.
The 44-year-old has at least 30 different aliases. He's been known as Billy and Bobby, Chai Chai and Chino. While his name might change, one thing that doesn't, the charges against him.
When he was finally arrested, there was 19 pounds of methamphetamine in the vehicle.
In 2019, federal authorities executed search warrants on homes in Milwaukee, finding drugs and guns, identifying Visethsunathon as the lead suspect.
A warrant was put out for him, and he was finally stopped in Indiana by state troopers with one other individual in the vehicle, and that's where the drugs were found.
He was arrested, charged, and convicted, sentenced to more than 5 years in federal prison and 5 supervised release. U.S. Marshals say he hasn't been following the rules.
Testing positive for marijuana and methamphetamine multiple times, not maintaining and reporting a stable residence, issues with employment.
He has ties to Milwaukee and Sheboygan and has a distinct tattoo on his neck.
There's a sweeping tattoo that comes up the side, and then it looks like a girl or a woman's face just behind his right ear.
U.S. Marshals want the 44-year-old to know he can't stay hidden forever.
Turn yourself in and face these charges so they're not going away.
No matter how you spell it, trouble will eventually catch up. In Milwaukee, Ashley Sears, Fox 6 News.
Ashley, thank you. And the 44-year-old Fugitive is about 5'9" tall, weighs about 210 pounds. He uses at least 30 different aliases. He does have ties to Milwaukee and Sheboygan. Plus, as mentioned, that large tattoo of a woman on his neck. If you've seen him, if you know where he is, call the U.S. Marshals tip line. The number is right there on your screen, 414-297-3707. You will remain anonymous.
Let's take a live look outside. I made 2 mistakes this weekend.
Okay.
One, I went to Target the weekend before school starts. B, I went to the meat counter of my local grocery store.
Oh, on Labor Day weekend.
Oh.
There were, let's just say, a lot of people in both locations.
And I'm sure you were patient and kind. And do people recognize you and they want to know about everything, you know, Amelia and everything you're doing with your lawn?
I throw those elbows so quick they have no idea what hit them, and I'm out of there.
I thought Ben would have his charming smile on like he does every day.
Get out of my way. I got things to do.
Yeah, exactly. My husband's at Woodman's right now because, you know, since I'm working, and he said it is chaos.
Yeah.
You'd think everybody be planted by now because it's so beautiful with their barbecues. No, everybody's getting their last minute stuff.
Gotta get this is like the day to get your life in order before like just our normal routines pick up tomorrow.
Exactly. I mean, still getting the kids' lunches ready, getting all those necessities. If you haven't gotten school supplies, you might want to do so. But the weather, hopefully you spent some time outside. If you are one of the individuals who did go to the store to get some of those last-minute need items, but we are seeing plenty of sunshine still, so you still have more time to get outside and enjoy. Maybe go for that evening walk. You can do a grill out for dinner with the kids before they go back to school tomorrow. It still is wonderful. Currently, we're sitting at 73 degrees in Milwaukee, and it feels more like summer today, but believe it or not, today is the last day of meteorological summer. So meteorological summer consists of 3 months, June, July, and August. The average temperature we had was 70.9 degrees, making it the 32nd warmest summer for us here in Milwaukee, with a total precipitation of 16.25 inches. We were close to 5 inches more than we should have seen this summer, making it the 7th wettest. Now, most of our rain came this past month of August, which we were the 2nd wettest August on record for Milwaukee. Springing forward now, we are thinking of fall. Meteorological fall begins today on Labor Day. September, October, November is considered fall in the books of meteorologists.